Part 69. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 682. Behind him, Jong-sun was so stunned that he couldn't recover for a long time. When he saw Luo-chi reaching out to pull the bag in Lily's hand, he pulled her hand into his palm and clasped her fingers tightly, and then he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Like this, no matter how shocked others were when they saw this scene, he pulled Lily out of the classroom door. It was obvious that the two of them were incompatible with each other in appearance, but Luo-chi seemed to be unable to see Lily's unsightly appearance, until the two figures turned around and disappeared through the classroom door. Jong-sun took a breath of air and came to his senses, and hurriedly chased after them. Walking through the long corridor of the classroom, Luo-chi's eyes kept falling on Lily. "What do you want to eat?" He was patient and conscientious in his work. He cooked some dishes that wasted time very well, and his cooking skills were not inferior to Lily's. And because he likes to pursue perfection in everything, sometimes he will make simple vegetables very beautiful. This is the most important reason why Lily has never kicked him away. There are no classes in the afternoon, so Lily thought about it and was about to say that she could eat some for lunch. In the afternoon, when she bought delicious food and cooked it slowly so that he could pass the time, she could also take some free time to practice physical skills in the room for half a day. Before she could speak, a slim figure came down the stairs at the corner, carrying a chestnut-colored backpack. The girl was about to go up the stairs. When she saw Lily and Lily holding hands, the girl couldn't help but exclaimed, "Chengbei!" After she shouted, as if she couldn't believe it, she shouted again, "Chengbei, why have you lost so much weight?" Chengbei had a look of surprise on her face at this time. "It has been more than 10 days since I saw Lily. Lily has lost a lot of weight in these days." It would be difficult to notice if she saw her every day, but Chengbei was used to her previous bloated appearance. No matter how cold it is, you might as well see that she has lost a lot of weight now. Naturally, she is a little surprised. Just as she couldn't help but ask, Chengbei saw Luo-chi standing next to Lily and holding hands with Lily. There were rumors in school that Luo-chi and Lily knew each other. At that time, the photos of Luo-chi staring at Lily had been taken out by others. Chengbei also saw it, but she couldn't believe it. After all, she knew how introverted and cowardly Chen Lily was before. How can a person who lowers his head and dare not raise his face when talking to his parents at home have any chance of meeting Luo-chi? She has been going to school for many years, and has almost never had any particularly good friends since she was a child. She was almost invisible in high school and college. 2 months ago, she had a boyfriend like Jong-sun, who had no future, but she still looked satisfied. Such a useless guy, a promising woman. Chengbei didn't believe that she would meet Luo-chi at first. Lily and Luo-chi were like people from two different worlds. Chengbei thought it was a coincidence when she saw the photo. She was once jealous that Chengbei was so close to the famous Mr. Luo on campus, but when she thought of Lily's appearance and figure, her jealousy quickly turned into gloating that she had a handsome, rich boyfriend who was also from the imperial capital. Although it is not as good as someone like Luo-chi, but compared to Jong-sun, it is in the sky and on the earth. In Chengbei's heart, Lily was only worthy of finding a worthless man like Jong-sun. Even if she got close to Luo-chi and had the opportunity to take a photo with him, Luo-chi would not be able to recognize her. But when she saw Luo-chi holding Lily's hand, and the two of them seemed to be talking just now, Chengbei couldn't help but feel jealousy in her heart. "Senior Luo." Luo-chi didn't turn his head. He stared at Lily, still waiting for her to answer his question. Lily's figure was clearly reflected in his pupils, and he didn't even glance at Chengbei from the corner of his eye. Chengbei couldn't bear it. He couldn't help calling out again. Luo-chi still didn't turn around. Chengbei felt a little unbelievable for a moment. She was smart when she was young. When she grew up, she was beautiful, lively, and got good grades. She was a very lovable girl in the eyes of neighbors and relatives. After entering this university, she was quickly called the beauty of the class by a group of classmates, even if she was not a top beauty. But she is much more eye-catching than Lily in appearance, and many male classmates in the university took the opportunity to show their affection for her. Cheng Bei has never raised his head in front of her. No matter whether the two of them are favored by their parents, their own conditions or their boyfriends, Cheng Bei has no one who can compare with her, but at this moment Luo Qi is staring at Lily. Without turning her head or looking at herself, Changbian felt a little angry and looked at Lily with a cold face. My parents know about your scandal and asked you to go back at night. Also, take Jongsun with you. No matter what, he is also your boyfriend now, he deliberately told Luo Qi the previous rumors on campus. Changbian had always disliked Cheng Bei and thought she had robbed him of his things. I never thought about the consequences if someone heard me say such words. In the past, Cheng Bei would go home for a meal before leaving every week, but she didn't expect that she hadn't gone back for more than half a month. No one in Cheng's family thought about it, but because of Luo Qi's death some time ago, the reason for talking to Lily made Lily famous for a while, and then the news spread a few days later that she had been raped. When Changbian saw the news posted on the internet at home, she thought it was a rape while having dinner with her parents. He mentioned it as a joke, and also said that there might be someone who was blind and raped Cheng Lily. At that time, the parents remembered that this eldest daughter had not been home for a long time. She usually lives alone, is timid and introverted. Because she was taken away from her parents when she was a child, she is not close to her parents. Although her parents feel guilty towards her, they are not close to her because they are around her. Already having a lively, lovely, and outstanding daughter, it was inevitable that the eldest daughter would be neglected. Now that they really needed to contact her, the family realized that they did not have Lily's phone number, and Changbian did not know what Lily was reading. Which class? Originally, Changbian didn't want to come over in person today. After all, she had always felt that she was very ashamed to have a sister like Cheng Bei, and she had never admitted that she was her sister. However, her parents insisted on letting her go home for dinner. Changbian, I had to find someone to find out clearly what class Lily was in, and then I found her. She was originally in a bad mood when she was forced to come over, and now she discovered that Lily and Luo Qi were holding hands. Changbian had always been better than Cheng Lily. Seeing such a scene at this time was greatly irritating, and she felt she was very aggrieved. Although she had just told Luo Qi the news that Lily had a boyfriend, seeing that Luo Qi did not let go of Lily's hand, Changbian was still upset. After telling her parents what she had said, she couldn't help but stab Lily again. One sentence. I forgot to call my parents and ask. I hope you didn't forget the way home. After all, you never forget to take money. When Lily heard this, her eyes suddenly narrowed. The original owner was also the daughter of Changbian. If Changbian hadn't been pregnant with Changbian, Cheng Bei wouldn't have been given to others for adoption. She was because Changbian was pregnant. Bian was sent away, and when she came back, she owed nothing to anyone, especially Changbian. However, every time she acted as if she had robbed her of something. If Cheng Bei heard that Changbian Yan definitely didn't dare to refute what he said and could only wipe his tears behind his back. But when Lily heard Changbian's words, she sneered. What does it have to do with you if your parents are willing to give it to me or take it? At a young age, you can't be too broad-minded. No wonder you don't have big brains as long as you grow up. After she finished speaking, she looked at Changbian's chest with meaning. At a glance, Changbian's small and exquisite breasts were just perfect for her slender figure. She was just a freshman and not yet 19 years old, and her breasts were not fully developed. In addition, Changbian loves beauty, and she always shouts she was trying to lose weight, and her body was as skinny as skinny. She looked good in clothes that made her skinny, but unfortunately her breasts were a little smaller. Changbin herself had always regretted this, so she tried her best to choose padded bras. Now she had ridiculed Lily and didn't expect Lily to reply to her. Changbin was stunned for a while, then she was so angry that she was trembling all over, pointing at Lily and speechless. At this moment, Lily didn't care about her ugly expression and raised her eyebrows. "You haven't gone away after passing the message? I'm bored when I see you. You have a meager face and a thin body. I know you are too lucky to enjoy it. Those who don't know think that there is a famine at home and they don't feed you." In the past, Changbin used this tone when she disliked the original owner. She picked on Cheng Beihe's character and Cheng Beihe's figure. She bullied her all the way up until she grew up. Now Lily also picked on Changbin, until Changbin's cheeks turned red, so she pulled Luoqi and walked past her without even looking at Bian. The situation seemed to be completely reversed from before. When Lily and Luoqi had gone very far, Changbin seemed to react. She gritted her teeth and turned around to chase Lily in dissatisfaction. When she was young and vigorous, she had been pampered since she was a child and did not consider the importance of doing things. Now she just felt that she wanted others to be like her when she was unhappy, especially if she was unhappy. The person whose expression she was looking at was someone she had always looked down upon in the past, but when Changbin turned around and chased her out, she could still see the figures of Lily and Luoqi. Those two people had already taken advantage of her when she was so angry that she couldn't recover. Went downstairs. In the corridor, Changbin felt a breath stuck in her chest. She took out her mobile phone angrily and called her parents, yelling at her parents and complaining about Lily's just scolding her for bullying her. She vented her anger. And then hung up the phone in frustration. "What do you want to eat?" When Luoqi pulled Lily downstairs, he couldn't help but ask again. He was usually just quiet, not stupid. It could be seen that Lily's face had become a little uncomfortable since Changbin appeared just now. He was pretty. He pursed his lips with a melancholy expression. He didn't like Lily talking to others, and he didn't like her mood swings because of others, especially when he thought about the boyfriend Changbin had just mentioned. Luoqi moved his fingers and lowered his eyelids. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 683. Whatever you want at noon. Lily sighed. She struggled to take her hand out of Luoqi's palm. His originally warm palm seemed to become a little cold for a moment, and the strength was a little too strong. She was in pain, but she struggled twice, but couldn't get rid of it. Luoqi held her tighter, and Lily looked up at him. "I want to go home tonight." The home she said didn't mean the place where she lives now. Luoqi didn't say a word. When the two returned home, he didn't say a word either. Lily opened the door and went back to her room to change clothes. When she came out, Luoqi was sitting at the table. The sun shines on him through the old window, his hair is so black that it turns blue, and 2 rows of eyelashes cast semicircular shadows under his eyelids. His slender fingers usually hold the box containing the 3D brain model puzzle. While rummaging around, he found that most of the brain model that had been put together in front of him had been pushed away by him. He tried his best to put it back together again, but the annoyance on his face became more and more obvious. There were even small beads of sweat on the tip of her delicate nose. "Luoqi," Lily couldn't help but call him. His hand shook, and a pile of puzzle pieces that had been put together fell apart again with his fingertips. Luoqi was silent, unable to speak. His lips pursed tighter and tighter, his eyes staring at the puzzles, with obvious annoyance between his brows. After a long while, he wanted to reach out and pick up the puzzles again. When he got up and put it together again, he seemed a little anxious. Even when Lily called him, he didn't seem to hear him. Lily frowned and took a deep breath. Luoqi didn't speak at the moment, but Lily could feel that he was a little unhappy. As if she had seen this situation before, she stepped forward and reached out to hold Luoqi's palm. He immediately reflexively tightened the model in his hand, and Lily pulled his hand. She opened his fingers and took out a few puzzle pieces from his palm. She reached out and brushed his soft hair. She held his face and raised his head. Luoqi, she called again. One sentence. This time Luoqi reacted. He no longer looked as if he was unaware just now. His clean eyes met Lily's, with a look of grievance in his eyes. You said you want to go home. He felt that the place where the two of them were together was home. He felt that he was Lily's family, but he didn't know how to express it to Lily. He knew that he could solve any difficult problem in medicine. It is easy to understand that the structure of the human brain is so complex. He could piece together the brain puzzle without a textbook, but he couldn't fully express his feelings at this moment. Luoqi's eyes showed a hint of haze, and his eyelids drooped again, but the hand that was originally clenched into a fist was placed on the table. His hand subconsciously held Lily's wrist. My parents asked me to come over and have a look. I haven't been back for a long time. This feeling seems to have happened somewhere before. A face flashed through Lily's mind. Luoqi's face was completely different from the one named Peijun she had met in previous missions. But at this moment, two different people gave her the same feeling strangely. Her heart, which was not soft at first, softened inexplicably. Seeing that his bangs hanging down from his forehead were almost blocking his eyes, she couldn't help but reach out to straighten them for him. He seemed to like Lily very much. With this movement, he squinted his eyes and moved closer to Lily. Although he didn't speak, Lily was sure that he heard what he wanted to say. I won't come back for dinner. You can make whatever you want. I'll go with you. Lily was originally going to say a few words to him and then go back to the room. But she didn't expect Luoqi to say that he wanted to go with her. She looked at Luoqi in surprise. As if she felt Lily's surprised gaze, Luoqi looked at her. She said. She wants to bring her boyfriend. His expression was serious, as if he was explaining the meaning of what he just said. Lily understood what Luoqi said about going back with her, and when she heard his additional explanation later, she couldn't help but laugh softly. Changbin did say that she should bring her boyfriend with her, but Changbin, the boyfriend mentioned in the words, refers to Jongsun and not Luoqi. Just looking at the look in his eyes at this moment, Lily did not speak. She just touched Luoqi's head and signaled him to continue the puzzle. His face relaxed. In Luoqi's opinion, Lily had agreed without any objection. He looked much more relaxed this time. Although his 3D brain puzzle had been touched by Lily just now, the restless look on his face had gone away at this time. Most of the time, by noon he had not only cooked the meal, but also had completed half of the puzzle. It can be seen that he is in a good mood. When Lily talks to him, he hardly listens quietly most of the time. He occasionally replies a few words. Under such circumstances, Lily can't bear to not allow him to follow her. He walked with her. His hair was a bit long, but he didn't seem to like others touching him. Lily was originally going to take him to the barber shop, but finally thought about it and took out the scissors. Knowing that Lily was going to cut his hair, Luoqi sat upright quietly, his hands even resting obediently on his thighs. Lily cut his bangs shorter for him, and trimmed the black hair that had grown around him for him. Her skills are not good, but Luoqi is beautiful and has a good temperament, so when the untidy black hair is paired with Luoqi, the result is not that bad. On the contrary, Lily combs it neatly. However, no matter how he tidied up the mirror, the image reflected in the mirror was not good looking. Luoqi's eyes met Lily in the mirror, and he smiled at Lily. Lily smiled back, and the flesh on her face squeezed. Her eyes narrowed, and her facial features seemed to have changed. Sure enough, it echoed what others said: good-looking people look good playing marbles, ugly people look like shoveling shit when playing golf. She decisively covered the mirror. On the table. After letting Luoqi take a nap in the afternoon, Lily went back to her room to practice her physical skills. As evening approached, she counted the time and prepared to go back to her home. Luo Qi was not used to riding the bus together with others. His car had been parked in the school. The two of them went back to the school to pick up the car. When they returned to their home, it was already getting late, and Lily knocked on the door. When he opened the door, a thin dark figure opened the door. When he saw Lily, he first showed a smile, and then he saw Luo Kishi beside him. The smile on the man's face suddenly froze. When Lily saw that Jongsun was also getting married, her eyes narrowed before she could speak. The voice of the mother-in-law in the house rang out. "Xiaozhang, is Cheng Beihe back?" While asking questions, Cheng's mother walked out of the kitchen with a stack of bowls in her hand and saw Jongsun standing at the door without moving. She put the bowl on the table, and when she walked over, she saw her daughter at the door and Luo Qi beside her, and she also became a little stunned. "Why is he here?" Lily asked Cheng's mother. Cheng's mother glanced at Luo Qi. His eyes fell on Lily at this moment. The two held hands. Cheng's mother was a little confused about the relationship between the two. In the past, the relationship between Jongsun and Cheng Beihe was known to everyone in the family. Although Jongsun disliked Cheng Lily for being ugly and fat, he didn't want his relationship with her to be discovered in school, lest he be exposed by the school students. People laughed at him, but he had no objection to his family knowing about these things. After all, the sooner his family knew his identity, the better they would be able to help him in the future. Only when he treats him as one of his own will he do his best to help him after he graduates and gets married. Therefore, although Jongsun told Cheng Beihe in the past not to expose their relationship in school, his banner was to avoid affecting the two of them. On the other hand, after confirming the relationship, Cheng Lily was urged to take him home to see his parents early. Cheng's mother had always known that Jongsun was Cheng Beihe's boyfriend. Now that Lily had brought another person back, she felt a little confused. She glanced at Jongsun and then at Lily. Somewhat embarrassed, "Let's talk inside the house first." For Cheng Lily, the daughter. Cheng's mother has always been a bit difficult to get close to. After all, her daughter was taken away from her at a young age. She has been calling others her parents for many years. She is no closer than Chengbian, who grew up beside her. When my daughter grew up, she became introverted and refused to say anything she wanted to say. She didn't know what her daughter was thinking. When she saw Jongsun's face was a little embarrassed, she felt a little strange that Lily didn't ventilate her first. Seeing that Lily's expression was a little cold, she sighed in her heart and felt that it was really not her. "The one beside you is not as good as the one you keep close to you." Before he could explain, Chengbian came over kicking his slippers in the room. "Why can't he be here? Isn't he your boyfriend? People know that you were raped and they don't think you are embarrassed. You change quickly." Chengbian was still angry when she thought of what Lily had said to her in the morning. Although she had complained today, she still couldn't help but sneered when she saw Lily. Jongsun on the side heard this. The corners of his mouth curled up, but he lowered his head and was speechless. Chengbian is not very old, and she has always used this tone when talking to the original owner. In the plot, when Cheng Beihe was raped and hurriedly married Jongsun, she regarded Cheng Beihe as a shame and used this incident to stimulate her twice. He despised her for not marrying well and having no ability. She wasted tens of thousands of her parents' tuition. In the end, she didn't get a diploma. She also needed help from her parents for work. She even married Jongsun because Cheng Beihe had been raped. Cheng's father and mother also paid the down payment for the house to the two of them. Although Cheng's father and mother actually gave her more in dowry than Cheng Beihe did when she got married after graduation, Chengbian felt very unwilling to do so when she thought about it. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan ERWR. Chapter 684. After all, without Cheng Bei, all this should have been Chengbian's, and the down payment for Cheng Bei's house should have been hers alone. Now that she is alone, her parents are partial to her, so Chengbian has always been against Cheng Bei. She couldn't stand it. After the incident, he never comforted her. Instead, he ridiculed her everywhere, which made Cheng Bei, who was already hurt physically and mentally, dare not return to her parents' home for a long time. It was precisely because her parents thought she was a humiliation, and because she had been raped, Jong Sun only dared to bully her so unscrupulously later. When Lily thought of this, she glanced at Chengbian coldly. "If you don't shut up, I'll teach you how to calm down." When Lily said this, her gaze made Chengbian feel a chill rising from the soles of her feet. She was stunned for a moment, then subconsciously took 2 steps back. When she realized that she was scared by Lily, Chengbian angry with embarrassment, "Mom! Did you see that she dared to say that to me in front of you? You said this morning that she was not such a person." In the morning, Chengbian was blocked by Lily and angrily called home to complain to her parents. Cheng's mother thought of her daughter's cowardly character, and then thought that Chengbian had always been a talker, and had coaxed people into submission since she was a child. They were more willing to believe that Chengbian had suffered the loss from Lily than Lily had suffered the loss from Chengbian. Therefore, Chengbian called to complain and did not get the result she imagined. Instead, her parents thought there was anger in Chengbian's heart because of her nonsense. In addition, she thought of how Luo Qi ignored her when she greeted her in the morning. Instead, he stretched out his hand to hold Lily tightly, making Chengbian even more angry. She looked like this. Everything is better than Lily. No matter what aspect she was compared to, Lily couldn't compare to her. But now she is still more beautiful than Bei, but her boyfriend is a world away from Cheng Bei's former boyfriend Zhang Sun, but now her boyfriend has to be compared with Luo Qi. But nothing could compare to it. A fat and ugly woman actually had someone like Luo Qi holding her hand tightly. Chengbian felt unwilling to do so, after calling her parents. Zhang Sun chased Lily out again at that time. Chengbian thought that her parents asked Lily to go home for dinner and bring her boyfriend. In the past, she looked down on men like Zhang Sun, and she always felt that Cheng Bei had found a man like Zhang Sun. It is embarrassing for a man to be his brother-in-law, but it is better for Lily to marry Zhang Sun now than for her to marry Luo Qi in the future. At least if Lily still marries Zhang Sun, she will still be unable to compare with him in everything and cannot hold her head up in front of him. At least he won't be jealous of her. Chengbian never dared to think of someone like Luo Qi in the past, and naturally she couldn't allow Lily to meet him. So after she met Zhang Sun, she told him her parents' request to invite him to Qinjia for dinner in the evening. Lily has stopped talking to Zhang Sun recently, and has never brought him back to his family. Zhang Sun himself was a little worried and guilty when he did such a thing, and he was still thinking about using it. Press the Lily head. Therefore, he has never taken the initiative to come to the door. Now he doesn't know what excuse to use to get back together with Lily. When he heard Chengbian's invitation, Zhang Sun agreed at that time. Not only did he agree, but he also offered to remain. His parents, who had stayed in the imperial capital and had been urging him to settle the marriage, were all brought here in order to discuss the marriage with his parents. Zhang Sun was recently afraid that Lily, a cooked duck, would fly away. After arriving at the marriage family, Chengbian had been very attentive, but Chengbian had his own little plans. Therefore, he was not as cynical as before. The parents of both parties were discussing their marriage before Lily arrived. Unexpectedly, Lily came without saying anything and also brought Luo Qi with her, and Chengbian just started to speak. She stabbed Chengbian. It was okay for Lily to tease her about her small breasts when she was alone, but now she was in front of so many people. Lily still wanted to show her no face, but Chengbian was filled with unknown anger. She stamped her feet, glanced at Lily, and yelled at Cheng's mother loudly, "You heard it now, do you believe what I said? Have you been raped? Now, my arrogance has become even more arrogant." Before she finished speaking, Lily threw away Luoqi's hand and wanted to hit her. Luoqi calmly took out a small crystal bottle from his pocket. The bottle contained a transparent liquid. He faced Cheng. Bian started squirting. Chengbian was still complaining to Cheng's mother. She really didn't expect that Luoqi would spray her with something. When the cold liquid sprayed on her face, she shivered subconsciously. Some of the cold mist got into her eyes, making her eyes sting, and tears flowed out immediately. The smell of disinfectant in her mouth made Chengbian retching and nauseating as she almost opened her mouth. "Wow! What is this?" she puffed several times in a row. After a while, her eyes were red. She didn't care to complain to Cheng's mother again, and hurriedly rushed into the bathroom. Luoqi calmly filled the bottle. Putting it into her pocket, Lily glanced at him. She was originally going to slap Chengbian, but she didn't expect Luoqi to strike faster than her. There was a strong smell of disinfectant in the air, and Luoqi seemed to feel her. He looked at Lily and smiled, "Disinfectant water." With these words, he was explaining what he had just sprayed into Bai Yan. He had a severe case of dystocia and he didn't like anyone touching his things. Likewise, Luoqi didn't like to touch things that didn't belong to him. Items, although he wanted to go back to Qingjia with Lily tonight, but when he thought that he would come to a strange place, even if this place was the home that Lily said, Luoqi still couldn't control his preparation before going out. He put a bottle of disinfectant on his body, but he didn't expect to use it before entering the door. He didn't spray Chengbian because of what she said just now, he just didn't want Lily's hand to touch Chengbian's face. "Lily, your sister is young and ignorant. She just talked casually. Don't argue with her." Cheng's mother glanced at Jongsun with some embarrassment and then at Luoqi. She was not satisfied with Luoqi's previous spraying. He was a little dissatisfied with his daughter, but seeing that Luoqi's appearance and temperament were different from ordinary people, he suppressed the urge to curse and reprimanded his daughter with a cold face, in front of Xiaozhang, "You are arguing with others. What are you doing? You won't come back early even if you're looking for your classmates to go home for dinner. Come in quickly, your future parents-in-law are already sitting inside." When Jongsun saw Luoqi, his face showed shock and disbelief at first, and then he became a little panicked. He definitely couldn't match Luoqi's conditions. He didn't expect that Luoqi would really follow him now. Lily came back hand in hand. She was originally afraid that Cheng's mother would look down on her after seeing Luoqi. She was deeply afraid that Cheng's mother would think that Luoqi was better than herself and let Lily separate from him. Unexpectedly, Cheng's mother was still standing at this moment. On his side, he even asked Lily and Luoqi not to fight, and said that his parents were Lily's parents-in-law. Jongsun breathed a sigh of relief, forced a smile on his face, and stretched out his hand to pull Lily. "Lily, come in quickly." Before he could touch Lily's hand, Luoqi took Lily and took a step back, avoiding his palm. Lily looked at Jongsun and sneered. Cheng's mother had already turned aside and motioned for the two of them to go in first. Cheng's father in the room was talking to a man wearing an old blue suit with gray hair. This was Jongsun's father. The moment Lily and Luoqi entered the room, a man in her original room was wearing floral flowers shirt, wearing a pair of black trousers on the lower body. A woman with short curly hair dyed burgundy came out, with a look of envy on her face, looking around, with greed remaining in her eyes. When she saw Lily and when Luoqi came into the house holding hands, the middle-aged woman's smiling face suddenly dropped. "In-laws, is this your eldest daughter?" Cheng's mother nodded, and Jongsun's mother gritted her teeth and glanced at Lily. "Although my sonza doesn't pay attention to her previous affairs, after all, she can't be blamed, but she still wants to marry into our Zhang family. Now, it's not good to have sex with other men, right, Jiang's mother knew the truth. Jiang Sun's crooked idea was never hidden from her from the beginning to the end. She also agreed with her son to do this, because Jiang Sun she was proud of being able to marry a daughter-in-law in the city. Jiang's mother even decided that after her son got married, she would go to the city to enjoy her son's happiness. However, she was also afraid that the daughter-in-law in the city would look down on her and her son would look down upon her. Mother Jiang must be happy to make her obedient and at her disposal in the future, but when she sees Lily and Luo Qi holding hands, Jiang's mother's expression becomes a little ugly. Her son raped her, so Lily was labeled as an unclean woman, but in fact she was still his son's. At most, her reputation was not good, but if Lily really got involved with other men, Jiang's mother would be a little bit affected. No, if she hadn't thought that she was still married at this moment, Jiang's mother would have slapped Lily twice, and there were no rules at all. Is this Lily's friend? Cheng's mother smiled awkwardly at Jiang Sun's mother and glared at her daughter. She was about to reach out to pull Lily to separate her from Luo Qi, but Lily took a step back. He frowned and looked at the scene in the room. My parents called me back today because something happened. Why are they here? Why are you here? It's not because of your embarrassing thing. Chengbian, whose eyes were red in the bathroom and who had just brushed his teeth and was wiping his face with a wet towel, came out accompanied by her boyfriend. Luo Qi sprayed her with disinfectant before, but she did not dare to get angry at Luo Qi. When her boyfriend saw Luo Qi, he whispered hello to Luo Qi but received no response, and did not dare to say a word. Chengbian's eyes were dry and painful at the moment. She was angry but didn't dare to express her anger at Luo Qi, so she had to force herself on Lily. Do you think you can still get married after something like that happened? It's really embarrassing. It's embarrassing for my parents. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 685. Just now Luo Qi sprayed her with disinfectant, but Chengbian still didn't behave. Lily gave her a cold look, and Chengbian subconsciously shrank into her boyfriend's chest. Chengbian was talking to Jiang Sun's father. The father shouted, "Okay. Stop causing trouble and go back to your house." Although he was not as close to Lily as his daughter, Cheng's father still felt a little distressed when his daughter was injured. He scolded Chengbian, then he looked at Lily and sighed. Something happened. Why don't you come home and tell us? Let's find a solution together. Now that things have happened, Xiao Zhang said that he doesn't dislike you and is still willing to live with you for the rest of his life. Women always have to get married when they reach their age. Anyway, you are only a few days away from graduation, so why not settle things first? Your mother and I still have some money in hand. After you and Xiao Zhang get married, you can use this money to make a down payment to buy a house, which will be regarded as your dowry. Your mother can only exert so much strength. When Chengbian heard this, her face turned very ugly. Her lips moved. Why should I buy her a house? She never admitted that Cheng Beihe was her sister. Thinking that some of her property was taken away by Lily, Chengbian felt very unhappy. She muttered something, and Cheng's mother glared at her. Such a big one. Now that we are human, we are still like children, so what is left of your father and I will not be all yours. I don't want a down payment for a house, nor will I marry Jiang Sun. As for your things, I don't want them either. Lily sneered and glanced at Chengbian. The Jiang family can leave now. Won't you marry our son? Besides our Jiang family, who else is willing to marry you now? Xiao Cheng, if it weren't for the fact that our son likes her and values love and righteousness. Even if you don't want to mention it, we won't come to your door at will. When Jiang's mother heard that Lily said she would not marry, she felt a little unhappy. She gave birth to 2 daughters before asking for a son. Jiang Sun was admitted to a university in the imperial capital again. In the eyes of Jiang's mother, he might have done it, but at this time, he was rejected by Lily and said he would not marry. He thought of the house he promised to buy for his son when he got married. If he died because of Lily's words, it would be like ripping out Jiang's mother's heart. And looking at Lily's appearance and fatness, he couldn't help but said again, "Look at how big and thick you are. Listen to me, I advise you not to be too picky when you are young, lest you pass this village. There is no such shop." Jiang's mother knew clearly what Chen Lily's so-called rape was about, but she spoke harshly at this moment. Lily originally wanted to sit down, but Luo Qi glanced at the sofa aside with some reserve, carefully took out a handkerchief and spread it on it. Only then did Lily sit down, and he held her hand and stood aside. "You care about love and righteousness? Just get out of here if you don't want to come to your door. It's none of your business whether I look tall or tall. It's none of your business whether I miss a store or not. Your son looks like this and you still dislike me for not being good looking." Lily blocked Jiang's mother until her face turned red and her neck was thick. Then she went on to say to her parents, who were a little stiff, "Anyway, I won't marry Jiang Sun, and you don't need to buy a house. I thought I was really going to eat when I came back today, but I didn't expect that my parents had made other arrangements. It turned out that I had just been scolded by my father." Chengbian, who heard Cheng's mother's arrangement again, was currently nestled in her boyfriend's arms, wiping her eyes with a handkerchief. Hearing Lily's words, another inexplicable anger surged out. Her eyes were so dry and painful that she couldn't help but shed tears. "My mouth felt so uncomfortable that I wished I could have someone peel off a layer of skin, and my lips were a little numb and tingling." She snorted, "If you don't want the Zhang family, who will want you in the future? Do you want to stay in our family and never leave for the rest of your life? Do you want more things? I can give you a down payment on a house, which is good. It won't be your turn to worry about whoever wants it from now on." Lily gave her a cold look. Chengbian was disgusted by her look, and subconsciously said, "You have been raped, and you are picky and picky." When the parents heard this, they didn't say a word, obviously acquiescing to Chengbian's words. The Zhang family even looked sarcastic, as if a woman had made a huge mistake if she had been raped. Thinking of it, Cheng Bei's fate in the plot, in addition to her own low self-esteem due to being injured after being raped, these people believed that the victim's attitude of being inferior after she was raped also indirectly affected her, making her even more low self-esteem. Faced with Jiang Sun's frequent punches and kicks, he simply couldn't muster the courage to resist. Lily was originally ready to explain, but there was no need for that explanation. Seeing Chengbian's expression as if a woman had been raped and hurt, as if she had made a big mistake, Lily turned to look at Luo Qi. "Okay, I was raped. The murderer was Luo Qi. Will you be responsible in the future?" Luo Qi had been quiet at first. When he heard that Lily wanted to take responsibility, he seemed to have no reaction and looked down at Lily. He didn't speak immediately. Chengbian breathed a sigh of relief, and a feeling of schadenfreude couldn't help but surged out again. "What kind of person is Mr. Luo, and what kind of identity would he come to rape you? Neither do you. Look at that figure of yours." She laughed so hard that no one in the Cheng family made a sound. Obviously everyone had the same idea as her. Jiang Sun's heart was in his throat, but it fell back because of Luo Qi's silence and Chengbian's ridicule. In the same place, he knew most clearly whether Lily had ever been raped. At this moment, he thought that Lily was just playing tricks. Seeing that she wanted to rely on Luo Qi, Jiang Sun felt a little sarcastic in his heart, and then thought Lily was so unwilling to marry him that she couldn't help but feel angry. When the day they got married, he would definitely make this woman look good and teach her a lesson so that she would know what it means to be a man. "Luo Qi, are you willing to be responsible for me?" Lily asked again. Luo Qi blinked with confusion in his eyes. Seeing his look, Lily knew that he did not understand what she just said. After thinking for a while, he changed his approach. "Will you marry me?" "I do." When Luo Qi heard what she said, his eyes suddenly lit up. He nodded hastily, and two red clouds quickly appeared on his cheeks. A surprised smile appeared on his handsome face. He seemed to be a little surprised. Not knowing what to say, he just held Lily's hand and nodded firmly to express his attitude. Everyone sitting in Cheng's house was stunned for a moment. Lily let him hold her hand and scanned the faces of the people around her. She saw Chengbian, who was stunned and had his mouth wide open for a long time, unable to recover. Lily then laughed. I know if there is a shop like this in this village. I won't marry Jiang Suan, and I don't need to start a family and buy me a house. I can make the decision on my own marriage. When Luo Qi nodded and said that he wanted to marry Lily, Chengbian couldn't help but feel a sense of jealousy in her heart. She was also at the age when young girls love to fantasize, and her boyfriend was in heaven and earth compared to Jiang Suan. But there was no way to compare with Luo Qi. Luo Qi was like the dream lover in Chengbian's mind. She never thought that she could get close to such a man, but she couldn't even get close. Now she is willing to marry Lily. Chengbian almost wants to vomit blood. She really can't think of any advantages of Lily. Although she was originally very unwilling to have her parents pay for Lily to buy a house, but now when she heard Lily shouting that she didn't want a house for a family, Chengbian couldn't help but said harshly. You make your own decisions. Your parents think about you. Not only are you ungrateful, but you are also biting Lu Dongbin. You don't know a good heart. Now you don't want a house for a family. When you asked your parents to give you money to go to school, they gave you living expenses and rented a house. How can you ask for money and be happy when you are here? When Chen Beihe's parents gave away their eldest daughter to raise their younger daughter, Chen Beihe's adoptive parents asked her to go out to work to earn money to support their biological child before she graduated from junior high school. Chen Beihe refused and was later adopted. Her parents were angry and sent her back to her parents' home. However, Chen Beihe was older at that time. She had been living under the control of her adoptive parents as a child and was used to being beaten and scolded. She developed a cowardly and introverted character. In addition, she was raised by her biological parents and did not have a close relationship with her parents. She did not know how to please her parents at ordinary times. When she was in Cheng's family, she could only work hard. Chengbian has always been deeply prejudiced and very hostile to her. So after junior high school, in order to prevent her youngest daughter from being unhappy, Chen Beihe had always lived in school. After college, although the school was not far from home, she could think of the turbulent relationship between her younger daughter and her eldest daughter, and they became a father and a mother. He simply paid for his eldest daughter to rent a house outside the school. This was the reason why the original owner lived outside the home in the first place. It wasn't that she didn't want to live at home, it was just that Chengbian didn't like her and got furious when he saw her. In order to separate the two people, Chen Beihe silently rented a house not far from her home. She bought a house, but now in Chengbian's words, it turned out to be Chen Beihe asking her parents for money to rent a house. Lily glanced at her father and mother. The two remained silent, with obvious displeasure on their faces. Obviously, the couple did not believe that Lily had been raped by Luo Qi, and thought that she was just refusing to have sex with Jiang Suan. Marriage is just a random excuse. My daughter has such a scandal. She is not good looking, and it will be difficult to get married in the future. Now that she and her husband have finally arranged a place for her, but she refuses to give in, it will inevitably make Cheng in her heart. Her father and mother felt that Lily was a little ignorant. Lily sighed. Although the original owner had not received much love from her father and mother over the years, otherwise she would not have been in such poor health. Her father and mother still thought that their eldest daughter was she only gained weight when she was well. She had worn the clothes she wore for many years, and her parents never noticed. Even in the plot, the original owner was raped. It was a rumor in the school that spread to her parents through Chengbian's mouth. It can be seen that the two couples have neglected their eldest daughter, but aside from this, It is a fact that Cheng Bei owes her father and mother the tuition and miscellaneous expenses. She turned her head and glanced at Luoqi. If I rely on you for support in the future and ask you to borrow money, will you return the money to my parents? To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 686. Since entering the mission these days, Lily has been practicing martial arts desperately, thinking that one day she will take revenge on Jongsun and vent her anger on the original owner. She has not gone out to find a job and has no money in her hands. In addition, since Cheng Bei went from junior high school to college, she did spend a lot of money on her parents, and Lily couldn't get it out for a while. Although after college, because Chengbian didn't like Cheng Bei, she often scolded her for cheating Chenjia. In terms of money, Cheng Bei has tried his best to save some money and save some money. He even tried not to ask his parents for living expenses in the future, but the money was not enough to return to his parents. If she wanted to return the money to her parents and have less contact with her family, Cheng Bei had no friends at all. At this moment, Lily had no other choice but to borrow money from Luoqi. She originally thought that Luoqi was entangled with her for no reason. There was some trouble, but she didn't expect that she would ask Luoqi for help. Lily had never thought about having any relationship with anyone other than the mission during this mission, and she didn't really want to rely on Luoqi for support. She just wanted to make Bian angry and see Bian's half-death expression. As for the money she borrowed from Luoqi, she would find a way to pay it back after graduation. During her many years of missions, Lily could cook, and at most she could open a small restaurant, or she could use her martial arts skills to find a job like a bodyguard. The original owner didn't owe her parents much, and she couldn't borrow it from Luoqi. How many? Yes, Luoqi said these words very loudly. He stared at Lily without blinking, as if he was afraid that Lily would regret it. He held her tightly with his palms and reached out to touch her body. Annoyed, the bank card is at home. When you go back, you are not allowed to regret it. He stared at Lily. There was a bit of panic in his eyes, as if he was afraid of regret. His lips were pressed tightly, and the corners of his lips were trembling slightly. When Chengbian heard this, her chest hurt from vomiting. She breathed a long sigh of relief, twisted the handkerchief tightly in her hands, and stared at Lily speechless. I will transfer the money to Dad's card when I get back. Lily stood up. Seeing the Zhang family, she couldn't eat the meal tonight. If she had known that such a commotion would happen today, she might as well have Luoqi cook a delicious meal at home. Without Zhang Sun, an eyesore like this, she would be more comfortable than now. Cheng's mother frowned. Lily, don't be childish. Your sister can't speak. Why do you care about her? For Cheng Lily. It will always be like this. Chengbian can't speak, so Cheng Bei is destined not to care about her, so she deserves to have to swallow her anger. Lily doesn't want to be a submissive person like the original owner. She would rather be the one who makes others swallow their anger. After hearing Cheng mother's words, laughed. She can't speak, and I can't speak either. But if she talks nonsense in front of me again, I will beat her. After saying that, Lily raised her eyebrows and glanced at Chengbian. This look made Chengbian so angry that she couldn't help stamping her feet. Just as she was about to speak, Cheng's father sighed. Okay, we won't ask for your money, but you should think clearly about your marriage. Your parents will never harm you. Xiaozhang is really good, and he is willing to take responsibility for you if such a thing happened. After he said this, he glanced at Luoqi, although he didn't know that Luoqi the details of the prayer. But looking at his handsome appearance, I don't want to believe that he will be good to his daughter all his life. After all, in terms of appearance, he and Lily are not a good match. Your mother and I are doing this for your own good. We have eaten more salt than you have ever eaten rice. Forget it, don't talk about marriage today. You will understand one day. Lily didn't appreciate Cheng's father's words. In the plot, the parents also sighed like this when they talked about Cheng Beihe's marriage to Jiang Xuan. However, Cheng Beihe was the one living in the end, not Cheng's father and Cheng's mother. It shouldn't be up to them to decide whether it's good or not. After all, Cheng Beihe's life in the plot is not very good, and her parents who said they wouldn't harm her have never come to stand up for her. I also hope I can understand, but I don't understand now. My parents still have guests today, so I will go back first. Lily lowered her head and stroked the corner of her clothes. Luo Qi couldn't wait to urge her to leave. Pulling her, she shook her hand several times. He was thinking about what Lily had just said and was not used to dining in other places. Lily decided to leave. Luo Qi breathed a sigh of relief and pulled Lily over after she finished speaking. By the door. Lily stretched out her hand and opened the door. The parents in the room were extremely quiet. Seeing this scene, the Zhang family members were a little afraid that the marriage would be ruined, but also a little unwilling. When Lily went out, she heard Jiang's mother sour. He said, "Young people don't know what's good. Don't be angry, in-laws. Lily may be a little stubborn. Her father and I will persuade her." Cheng's mother whispered to comfort Jiang's mother. When Jiang's mother heard her words, she seemed to have taken reassurance. The voice that was still a little shrunken suddenly became louder. "You also know the situation of your daughter, she is not a clean and innocent body." Cheng's mother agreed awkwardly, calling Chengbian to come out and chase her. Lily, when she entered the elevator, her voice gradually disappeared. Luo Qi brought out disinfectant and the two of them went to the parking lot. Luo Qi sprayed disinfectant on Lily's hands first, then opened the car door and rinsed her hands with mineral water. When the two drove away, Chengbian chased after her. When she came out of the downstairs, she saw Luo Qi's car leaving. She stamped her feet, covered her painful eyes, and cursed again. After Lily returned home and got married, it was as if she had broken up with Jiang Xuan. She ignored Jiang Xuan in school, and Jiang Xuan no longer bothered her as much as before. Maybe she had become a father and a mother. His actions gave him reassurance. At this moment, he decided that Lily had no choice but to marry him. For a while, he could not help showing a bit of madness in front of Lily. 2 months had passed in the school. There were already rumors that Luo Qi and Lily were seen holding hands and going out together. When Jiang Sun finished class in the afternoon, he came to Lily's desk and warned, "Graduation is about to happen in a few months. You should restrain yourself, you are still flirting with other men when you are about to get married. If you don't behave yourself in the future, I will do it again." In the past 2 months, Lily has lost weight very quickly. Originally, Beihe was about 1.6 meters tall, but her weight reached a full 75 kilograms. However, in these 3 months, Lily lost weight to about 60 kilograms. Because I lost weight by practicing physical training, and my body has now stored internal strength. Therefore, after losing weight, my skin does not appear loose, but I look a bit younger. I still weigh 120 pounds now. A little fat, but not as fat as before. Everyone in the class noticed her change this time. Coupled with the relationship between her and Luo Qi, there were even more people paying attention to her. When Jiang Sun said this to her, many people heard it and subconsciously showed surprise. Some time ago, Lily's relationship with Luo Qi caused a stir in the school. Although Luo Qi was a professor specially hired by the school to teach for 2 months, because it was not official, the school did not care about the gossip about the relationship between the two. Luo Qi had left school a month ago, but the rumors did not disappear as Luo Qi sometimes picked Lily up from get out of class. On the contrary, it became more and more intense. Many people secretly hated Luo Qi for being taken over by a fat girl like Lily. At the same time, many people did not know the relationship between the original owner and Jiang Xuan. Now when they heard that Jiang Xuan said that he was going to marry Lily, Many people were surprised, and then they became excited. Lily looked at Jong-sun's proud face with a hint of disgust. She stood up, put the heavy books she was packing into her bag on the table, and asked softly, "Say more once again." She is not his opponent. Jong-sun feels that he is sure of this. Men and women have innate advantages in physical strength. Cheng Lily looks fat, but in fact she is not in good health. If she really fights, Lily should not be able to beat her. But Jong-sun clearly thought so in his heart, but when he saw Lily's appearance at this moment, he instinctively felt the danger. He subconsciously took 2 steps back and snorted coldly, "Mother Cheng asked me to follow you, answered it." After saying that, Jong-sun turned around and walked towards his seat. "She is also doing it for your own good. If you don't listen to what you tell her yourself." Lily looked at his back and moved her fingers gently. In the past 2 months, she has lost weight quickly. Now she can do many movements that she could not do before. She has already accumulated internal strength in her body. It is not difficult to deal with Jong-sun, but Lily has been looking for her. It's just a chance. When Jong-sun hurt the original owner, the reason why she didn't call the police was because even if Jong-sun was convicted of attempted rape with evidence, he would not be imprisoned for 2 years and would have been released long ago. For Jong-sun, Sun had no impact. The original owner was injured for life. Such a painless punishment was not enough to vent the original owner's anger. What she wanted to do was to leave Jong-sun with unforgettable pain and make him owe no matter how much the original owner is, even the capital and interest will be returned. After Jong-sun sent the message that day, Cheng's mother came to see Lily several times. Unfortunately, she didn't know where Lily's rented house was, so she came directly to the school, but she didn't know when her daughter would have classes. There was no class and no clue, so 3 or 4 times out of the 5 trips, she always failed. Occasionally she stopped Lily once, and once she persuaded Lily to marry Jong-sun. Once Lily refused, Cheng's mother became dissatisfied, and the mother and daughter were unhappy and scattered. This situation continued until before the holidays. Lily was ready to move. She had lived in this community for a while and originally had no dissatisfaction. However, as someone in school spread the news about her relationship with Luo-chi, more and more people followed her. This was very inconvenient for her. Luo-chi, the relationship between Chi and her living together was quickly exposed. Recently, there have been more people downstairs in the community who want to rent a house, and most of them are girls from school. What are these people's intentions? It's obvious, maybe thinking that Luo-chi could even like a woman like Lily. Many people were quick to think. As soon as the holidays arrived, Lily said she was moving, and Luo-chi had already packed his things. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 687. Luo-chi doesn't carry many things with him, and he has a lot of self-discipline in doing things, so his things are usually kept in small boxes. Now he can just carry them and leave. Lily has not graduated yet, and recently she was considering finding a job as a tutor to earn some money first. She borrowed some money from Luo-chi last time and transferred it to her father's card number. At this time, she was penniless. Fortunately, she usually went to and from school. It was walking, eating, drinking, etc. Luo-chi would buy groceries. There was no place for her to spend money, so she did not feel the difficulty of having no money. At this time, it was time to rent a house again, and Lily began to consider this issue. When she said she wanted Luo-chi to support her, she just wanted to piss off Chengbian. Lily didn't really want to rely on Luo-chi in the future. The original master studied a useless major. After all, Chengbei he was not very talented in the past. It's just because she longs to be like normal people. She studies very seriously and memorizes English words and some history harder than anyone else. However, her grades are not good, so the major she enters is just to get a diploma. If Lily wants to rely on it, is difficult for a professional to find a temporary job, not to mention that her task has not been completed now. She does not want to focus entirely on work. Lily has been thinking about it and is ready to find a tutor. That way, she can have free time. If she can have with 2 tutors, it would not be difficult for Lily to rent a house like this again. When he knew that Lily was going to find students to make up money, Luo Qi fell silent and finally made a suggestion to Lily. He had just returned to China and was now working in a research institute and working part-time in a famous hospital in the Imperial Military Region. He doesn't spend much time in the hospital every month, about 3 hours a week. If there is a surgery that he needs to perform, he will make an appointment separately. However, the institute takes up most of his time, and he needs to have an assistant with him. Luo Qi has never liked having other people around him. After spending more than 2 months with him, Lily knew that he had a weird personality, and sometimes he would feel a little bored even if someone else touched his things. Luo Qi asked her to be his assistant, and Lily had free working hours. Sometimes if he was busy, she could leave directly if she had something to do. As for the salary, Luo Qi just handed over his bank card. Lily thought about it and agreed. As for moving, Luo Qi didn't like living in a strange place. The reason why he had been living with Lily in this old community a few days ago was because Lily had been there all the time. Now that he wanted to change his house, he had been living alone before. After arriving at Lily's side, the house was empty. Instead of renting another house now, it would be better to move back to his home. Lily and Luo Qi have been getting along for a while. She took Luo Qi in from the beginning, but now the situation is reversed. Luo Qi's house is about 15 minutes drive from where Lily rents, which is not very far. She has not finished her last class in the past 2 days, so Lily has not really taken office yet. There have been rumors in the school recently. It was extremely unpleasant to hear, and there was everything I could say. Some people say that Lily is shameless in seducing Luo Qi. There are also rumors that she was raped, and there were many people who pointed fingers behind her back. The original owner couldn't bear the pressure at first, and finally chose to drop out of school and get married. But that shadow did not dissipate after she got married. Instead, it haunted her. In fact, in this case, there is no need to drop out of school because of these people's rumors. When Lily finished the last class, someone couldn't help but stop Lily. At first, still holding back his dissatisfaction, he asked her arrogantly about Luo Qi's preferences. Lily refused to tell her after a few words. The girl's face suddenly turned ugly. What are you proud of? She is just a woman who has been raped. If you hadn't been stalking/seduce Senior Luo, do you think he would like you? Now Jongsun is willing to marry you, you have already accumulated enough blessings in your previous life. As soon as the girl pointed at Lily and got angry, many people gathered around her, looking like they were watching a good show. Many people had angry expressions on their faces. It was obvious that they were very angry at Lily for the recent rumors in school that Luo Qi and Lily were dating. I couldn't stand it, and now I saw someone willing to teach Lily a lesson. Although many people didn't make noises, they had the same look in their eyes. The girl was talking sourly. Unexpectedly, before she finished speaking, Lily was packing her hands away. He was reading a book and suddenly put down the book in his hand. Zhang Sun, who was standing aside and watching with cold eyes, wanted to let others teach Lily a lesson. When he saw this scene, a smile appeared on his face. He was about to say a few words hypocritically, but he didn't expect Lily to suddenly reach out and grab him. He noticed the girl's wavy hair hanging on her chest, pulled her in front of him. Being raped? Were you watching, or were you a victim like me? So you understand the scene like this. What's wrong with Yin Luoqi? You don't know how much you want to seduce him. It's just that they ignore you. Don't chirp in front of me in the future. Otherwise, if you get angry, I will smash your beautiful face. Having endured it for several months, Lily originally didn't want to argue with this group of people who had not been out of society and had very simple experiences and visions, but these people's gossip was very annoying. Now that the winter vacation is coming, these people usually she didn't say enough behind her back, and now she was leaning in front of her. Lily's hand holding the girl's hair shrank. The girl's scalp felt numb, and every strand of her hair seemed to be pulled off by Lily. Couldn't help but feel pain and panic. Maybe she was blinded by fear. She didn't expect that Lily would suddenly take action, and when she heard her threaten to smash her face, she didn't even scream, just looked at her face. The white one stared at Lily. "Lily, what are you doing? Why did you suddenly hit someone?" Jong-sun first didn't expect that Lily, who had a cowardly personality in the past, would be able to hit someone just because someone said a few words. If the original owner had been changed, he would be beaten by someone else. He said that he should hide and cry, but now Lily actually grabbed her classmate's hair and threatened her. He frowned and felt a little troubled in his heart. Cheng Lily used to be easy to bully, but now Lily seems to be much more difficult to deal with now. I have to live with her for who knows how many years. If her temper is so violent and I can't suppress her, will I have to let her rebel in the future? Jong-sun wanted to dispel Lily's arrogance now. He had been studying in college for several years and didn't think much about it. However, Jiang's mother taught him how to become the head of the family and how to establish his own prestige in the future. He had a lot of things. When he saw Lily's fierceness, Jong-sun started to scold him without thinking. The female classmate who was stunned by Lily's grasp seemed to come to her senses and began to struggle hard. "What's wrong with saying that you were raped? You dare to do it, but don't you dare to take it seriously. Your own sister has admitted it, so you can deny that it happened if you don't admit it? If Senior Luo knew that you were not clean now, he would have dumped you long ago, you 800 times. Hearing that Lily was raped by Changbian herself, many of the shocked classmates came to their senses. Jong-sun could not help but reveal a slight smile at the corner of his mouth. The female classmate struggled desperately. She was holding her head, but her hair was pulled extremely painfully by Lily. At this moment, Lily remembered Changbian in her mind, and started to lift up the girl's skirt without thinking. It's winter now. Winter in the Imperial City is very cold. It's already raining and snowing outside. However, many girls in the school love beauty. Even in the cold weather, they still wear black leggings with shorts and boots. It almost looks like this. Dressing up has become a fashion template. Among the 20 or so girls in the class, at least half of them are dressed like this. The same goes for the girl who was held down by Lily. Lily lifted up her skirt at this moment. She was stunned for a moment. "What are you going to do?" she screamed. Her legs flailed violently. Lily pulled her hair hard, pulling the girl's hair until her scalp was tight. After getting up, she made a move to pull up the girl's skirt. "You are so clean and you talk so nicely. I want to see if you are a virgin and you are eloquent when talking about others." Lily's actions scared the girl crazy. She also had a boyfriend. It was definitely impossible that she had not done anything, but even if she was still intact, if Lily really pulled her pants down in front of so many people in the school, where would she lose her face? The girl cried loudly and struggled like crazy. Lily easily restrained her on the desk and pressed her firmly. Now she is much thinner, but her strength is much stronger than that of Chen Lily. No matter how the girl he struggled, but to no avail. He was suppressed by her, like a turtle turning over, unable to struggle at all. The daughter screamed miserably, and everyone was shocked by this incident. The girl was crying hoarsely, and most of her delicate makeup was smeared. Lily touched her waist with her hand, and yelled at the girl who had just retorted. The girl finally couldn't help but begged. "I'm sorry Cheng Lily, what I just said was wrong, I will never dare to do it again," she was sobbing, and Lily snorted, removed the elbow that was pressing on her chest, and pushed hard. She pushed the girl to the ground, knocking two stools, and for a long time she was holding onto her skirt and unable to get up. Only when she was squatting on the ground biting her fingers and crying, did Lily give her a cold look. "Whoever says she was raped in front of me in the future, I want to see how clean she is." The girl's fate just now was still in front of her, but now someone behind the scenes really believed that Lily had been raped, but when they saw the way she dealt with the people who accused her, many girls were still a little scared, and no one dared speaking out. Jong Sun couldn't believe why the cowardly and introverted Cheng Bei had become so tough. He watched with uncertain eyes as Bei packed up her things and left. The girl in the classroom saw her leaving. And then she started to cry loudly. Some of her friends helped her up and returned to her position to comfort her softly. After this time, even if there were still rumors behind his back, he would definitely not dare to ask Lily again in person. When Lily left the classroom and thought about what had just happened, she decided to deal with Changbian first. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 688. Originally, Lily never thought about taking revenge on Changbian. Although Changbian was sarcastic about the original owner a lot in the plot, she was not the one who really hurt Cheng Lily. But now Lily changed her mind. She thought about it, the steps that were originally prepared to go back suddenly turned towards Cheng Jia's side. Since the last time they got married and planned to get engaged to Lily and Jong Sun, and they broke up, Lily hadn't come back for several months. The door to the married family was closed tightly, and Lily didn't have the key to get married. She reached out and rang the doorbell. Soon there were footsteps, and Changbian shouted in a lazy tone, "Who is it?" As she was speaking, the door opened, and she saw Lily standing outside the door. At this time, Changbian's face darkened, and she subconsciously reached out to close the door. Cheng's mother in the room was still asking, "Who is outside?" Before Changbian could lock the door again, Lily pushed the door hard. Changbian was not as strong as her and stood by the door again. At this moment, Lily pushed the door open, and she was hit by the door and fell to the wall. Finally, if she hadn't hid quickly, her face would have been pinched between the door and the wall. However, although her head and face escaped, her hand was still on the door lock. At this time, she was caught between the door lock and the wall. Suddenly, her fingers hurt so much that she started to tremble a little. "What are you doing back?" Changbian couldn't help but scream at this time. She didn't like Lily in the first place, and her fingers were so painful from Lily. Changbian stretched out her legs and wanted to kick her. "Get out of here! Get out of here, what a shameless thing, how dare you come to us to start a family? Why don't I dare to come? I came here to tell my parents that Luo Qi is planning to marry me, just because I haven't graduated yet. So let's have an engagement ceremony first. I'm here to invite my parents to sit there." Lily saw Changbian's face that was distorted in pain. The corners of her mouth curled up. The words she spoke made Changbian's face turn pale. "Bah! Shameless! Marry you? Ha ha! Just because of your appearance. With this look, besides a man like Jong Sun, who else would want you? Get out and make me embarrassed to start a family. They are playing tricks on you, you idiot. If you want to be embarrassed, it is your own business and has nothing to do with our starting a family. My parents won't even go there. It doesn't matter what I look like. Someone besides Jong Sun has taken a fancy to me. Are you jealous? No matter how good looking you are, Luo Qi doesn't like you either. It's not just Luo Qi who doesn't like you. You have a boyfriend. Is he willing to get engaged to you before graduating from college? You are the fool who is being played with. It is you who are embarrassed. You think you are so beautiful, but you can't compare to me. Lily seemed to be irritated by Changbin. She pointed at Changbin and yelled angrily, no matter how beautiful you are, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. Changbin was trembling with anger. The fingers holding the door were as strong as if they were going to be buckled into the security door. She blushed and stared at Lily. Am I futile? It only takes a few minutes for me to get married. Will Luo Qi do it? It was too early to marry you, otherwise why would you get married and now you are the only one coming home? You have been raped a long time ago, you are a piece of trash. Without thinking, Lily raised her hand and slapped Changbin. Changbin was hit to the side of her head. Her body was pressed against the wall, so Lily's slap did not make her figure any worse. Steady, but her face was stuck on the door. His teeth bit his lip. The smell of blood came out of his mouth, and Changbin became furious. How dare you hit me? So what if I hit you? Who told you to talk nonsense? No matter how shabby I am, Luo Qi still loves to pick it up. You are just a pearl, and you may not be able to get married or someone will want it. Will your boyfriend marry you in the future? You're not sure yet. If you break up, you'll be a rag too. Lily pulled Changbin's hair again. Cheng's mother, who was originally sitting in the room, had already been caught by Lily. After Lily entered the door, the conflict broke out between the two sisters. She was shocked. First, the younger daughter frantically told her older daughter to get lost, and then the older daughter, who had always been cowardly and obedient, dared to reach out and hit someone. The most important thing was that the two daughters were so quarreling at this moment that the neighbors might even gotta hear it. Thinking of this, Cheng's mother stood up in panic. What are you doing? We are all close sisters, why are we fighting? Lily, shouldn't the older one give way to the younger one? What do you care about with your sister? Yanur, please keep your voice down, do you want the neighbors to hear you? I'm not wrong, Changbin was slapped by Lily. Although Lily didn't slap her with much pain this time, Changbin felt a sense of humiliated resentment welling up in her heart. Who in the school doesn't know about her rape? She is a bitch. She is a dog who came to my house to cheat money. Now that she has cheated money, she has turned against her. I told you not to let her go. She came into the house. Are you happy to see me being beaten now? Changbin glared at Cheng's mother with tears in her eyes, then suddenly covered her face and started crying with a wow sound. While she was crying, she wanted to stretch out her legs to kick Lily, but Lily moved out of the way. The movement of Cheng's family here indeed attracted the attention of several families next door. At this moment, someone had opened the door and looked over. Cheng's mother sighed. Wanted to reach out to close the door, but when Changbin wanted to reach out to scratch Lily, Lily locked her hand and pushed her to the ground. She looked embarrassed at the moment, and she lost one of the slippers she was wearing. While crying, Changbin hit Lily with her slippers angrily. Get out! Get out of my house! Lily, you see your sister is ignorant, why don't you go back first and come back in 2 days when she has calmed down a bit? When the adult mother saw her little daughter like this, she couldn't help feeling a little distressed, even though both daughters were biological. But even a bowl of water may not be able to be completely leveled. Chengbei he did not grow up beside her, so he is not smart and well behaved, and he is not sweet-tongued and cannot coax. Changbin is completely different from her. This little daughter Chenmu has cherished as much as her eyes since she was a child. She has been reluctant to lift a finger since she was a child. But now she was slapped by Lily and she was crying so sadly. Chenmu felt a little bit sad. Feeling pain, she wanted to pull her daughter up, but Changbin slapped her hand away, got up and rushed into the house. This girl. Cheng's mother sighed. Just as she was about to chase after her, Lily glanced at her. Mom, Changbin told people everywhere in school that I was raped. Have you ever thought about my feelings? Cheng's mother heard this. The steps that were about to follow her daughter to persuade her suddenly became stiff. Changbian rushed back to the room and closed the door with a bang. Cheng's mother couldn't help but sigh again. Turning around, don't care about her. She is still a child, right? But I am not much older than her. I have stopped grabbing anything from her since I was a child. I have already paid back the money I owe you. Why does Changbian still treat me like this? Didn't she really want to see her happy if I couldn't survive? She doesn't recognize me as her sister, and I don't have a sister like her, but I don't owe her anything. If it weren't for her birth, I wouldn't have to be sent away. There is no need to be adopted. After many years of hard life, she owes me everything she owes me, and she will never be able to pay me back in her lifetime. Lily said a few words, and the mother-in-law was at a loss and speechless. Come, as if you want to apologize for Changbian. But looking at Lily's expression, Chenmu's heart felt a little painful again. But it doesn't matter now, because my life has been filled with hardships. Anyway, now I'm getting married. It's up to you whether you come or not. When Lily said this, her voice paused, and then she deliberately increased the volume, but Luo Qi said he would also throw a bachelor party for me, so that I could celebrate that I would never be single again, and that I would have him every day in the days to come. Luo Qi is not such a person. And there is no such thing as an engagement. Lily was just deliberately irritating Changbian at this moment. She just shouted loudly. After shouting, Lily stared at Changbian's room door. Sure enough, Changbian's room door was opened the next moment. She shouted angrily outside, "Get out of here. Don't ever step in again in your life. An engagement will make you so happy. Don't look like that. What's the point of being proud of an engagement? I want to get married, faster than you every minute." When Lily heard this, her eyelids drooped. A slight smile quickly appeared at the corner of her mouth, and then disappeared again. She snorted coldly and looked at Changbian as if she was a little angry. With one glance, Changmu's pleading eyes turned and left. She hadn't walked a few steps, her fingers hadn't even touched the elevator button, and the door to Cheng's house was slammed shut. Lily thought of Cheng's mother's faintly relieved face when she left, and laughed coldly. Not long after she left, Changbian called her boyfriend and asked for marriage. Changbian thought clearly that no matter who she lost to, she would never lose to an ugly woman like Lily. Chengbei used to compete in everything when she was young. But for her, whether it was her parents or resources, or her appearance, body, intelligence, or boyfriend when she grew up, she would never win. Now Changbian absolutely cannot let Lily win. She wants to get ahead of Lily and herself. My boyfriend got married, not through an engagement, but directly into marriage. Cheng's mother tried her best to persuade her, but it was of no use. Changbian seemed determined and immediately called her boyfriend to threaten him to break up if he didn't get married. Lily on this side had already guessed what Changbian was about to do. When she left Cheng's house, she wiped her face. Luo Qi happened to call. He didn't like the sound of the phone at first, but more than a month ago, after he returned to the research institute to work, he bought a mobile phone for the convenience of contact between the two of them. Luo Qi called to ask where Lily was. It was obvious that the two were only temporary roommates, just because Lily had taken Luo Qi in before. Now they are just living in his house for a while, but at this moment, Luo Qi, his roommate, gave Lily a feeling as if he had known each other for many years. He told Luo Qi where he was. In less than 5 minutes, he had already appeared outside the Qinjia community. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 689. Although Lily was surprised that he came so quickly, she was more concerned about Changbian's results at the moment, so doubts flashed in her heart and she suppressed them. After Changbian was stimulated that day, she really made plans to get married. Lily originally planned to go to Luochi to work for him for a period of time after the holidays, but that was because she had never thought about dealing with Chenbian. Now the situation is different. If she wants to deal with Chenbian, she will naturally not be able to go to Luochi's work. Luochi was lost for a long time until Lily comforted him and ensured that she would have time to go to school even after the winter vacation. When Kangdu went to help him, Luochi reluctantly agreed. During the half-month winter vacation, in addition to practicing star training at night, Lily spent most of her time following Chenbian during the day. She had been clamoring to find a boyfriend to get married recently, and he was probably her boyfriend. Her friend couldn't resist her, and the two even went to a bridal shop during the day. Lily found a cafe opposite the bridal shop, grabbed a notebook, and sat there for most of the day. There are quite a few people like her in the coffee shop who pretend to be drinking coffee but are actually surfing the internet. Although the waiter came several times to shoo people away by adding water, Lily pretended not to notice the waiter's intention. Chenbian entered the wedding salon for several hours and did not come out until the lights started to turn on in the evening. She and her boyfriend came out arm in arm. Chenbian had a smile on her face and raised her head as if she was talking to her boyfriend. The proud and showy look in his eyes could be seen even from a distance by Lily. The next time she had her hair done and her nails done, they met for dinner. Chenbian made a few calls to call her friends over, and then Lily stood up, put away her notebook, and quietly left the coffee shop. Chenbian went to a nightclub with 8 or 9 people. Taking advantage of this time, Lily found a nearby supermarket, stored her notebook at the supermarket service desk, and then walked around the supermarket. After finding a processing place that specialized in killing chicken, duck, and fish meat for others, she took a plastic bag and put some bloody things in it. Then she left the supermarket again. When she entered the nightclub, she saw at a glance that he was sitting in front of the bar. At this moment, Chenbian, who was leaning against her boyfriend, had obviously drunk some wine, and the two of them were cuddling closely. Chenbian was dancing and talking, and the man she was leaning on had a look of helplessness on his face. After staring for a long time, Chenbian seemed to be vomiting. The young man holding her had a wry smile on his face and said hello to the people around him. Although they were far away, Lily was attentive at the moment. "Listen. I still heard this man say to the other couples. Bien wants to go to the bathroom. She's drunk. I'll take her there first. You guys will wait a moment." A few people waved to the young man happily and winked at him ambiguously. Chenbian said after hugging the young man and laughing. Lily lowered her head when she saw them standing up, then rushed forward with her body, taking steps at that moment. Her original height of 1.6 meters suddenly increased by several centimeters. Her originally fleshy figure suddenly became tight due to the elongation of her bones, making her look much thinner and slender. She had her sights set on the young man. He was holding Chenbian at the moment and rushed towards the two of them. There was a bang sound. The young man hugged Chenbian and spun around twice. Chenbian was singing "I'm going to marry you tomorrow" in a cheerful voice. She was hit by this and was so dizzy that she couldn't come back to her senses. Lily didn't say anything. Sorry, she lowered her head and rushed into the nightclub. When she just passed by Chenbian, she stretched out her hand to hook her backpack strap. Chenbian was already very drunk, and when she was hit again, in order to stabilize her body, she subconsciously reached out her hand. She hugged her boyfriend tightly, and the bag in her hand suddenly fell to the ground. Lily didn't apologize, and quickly squeezed her body into the crowd and disappeared. "Who are you? Hurry up and get reincarnated." The young man finally managed to stand firm and hugged Chenbian again. His heart was pounding like crazy at this moment. Chenbian looked slender, but she weighed several dozen kilograms. After being knocked around and spun around, he really had no way to pick up the bag again, so he had to ask a few friends around him to keep an eye on the bag for Chenbian, and walk toward the bathroom with Chenbian in his arms. Lily mingled in the crowd. When she saw this scene, she took out the plastic gloves she had prepared long ago and put them on. This thin, small plastic bag-like pocket was where she was waiting for Changbin to follow her just now. When her boyfriend was on a date for dinner, she bought some braised meat and chewed on it. The braised pork seller gave it to her. Lily kept 2 of them, which came in handy at this moment. The lights in the nightclub were dim, and Lily followed Changbin all the way. The breath of the 2 followed, and many people around were hiding in the dark and hugging each other. The gasps and moans could be heard. This nightclub is a paradise for many men and women looking for excitement and fun. From this situation it seems that since the lights on the road leading to the bathroom are so looming and create such an atmosphere, it means that there should be no cameras here. Just to be careful, Lily still changed her body shape and walked towards the bathroom with her head lowered. There were not many people in front of the bathroom at the moment. Changbin's boyfriend was leaning against the wall impatiently with his cell phone. To play, Lily quickly ran into the washroom. He didn't even know he found something happy, and he didn't even raise his head. The restroom is quiet now. Many people are partying at the front of the nightclub. There is a performance outside. 2 strippers, a man and a woman, are dancing happily. Except for the men and women on a tryst, no one will come to the restroom at this time. Come. But for the sake of caution, Lily opened every toilet cubicle, except for the one in the middle. No one was around. A sneer appeared at the corner of Lily's mouth, and she quickly turned off the light in the toilet. In the toilet, Changbin, who was lying on the toilet and vomiting non-stop, screamed in surprise. Lily leaned lightly on the toilet door, bent down and opened the locked door. Come. Now that her body is very flexible, it is not difficult for her to do such an action. In the toilet, Changbin was dizzy and still didn't understand. Lily raised her arm and slapped her in the face without even thinking. There was a crisp sound of pop. This slap was not the slap she gave Changbin just to embarrass her when they got married, but she really used all her strength to Changbin. After Bien received the slap, her ears suddenly started to buzz, and she collapsed on the toilet unable to speak. In the plot, after Changbei was raped, Changbin often ridiculed her, because Changbin was not the initiator. Lily actually didn't think about doing anything to her at first, but Changbin's behavior made her very unhappy. She was about to take action now, so naturally she had no intention of showing mercy anymore. Lily lifted Changbin up, covered the toilet lid, pushed her to sit on the toilet, and then slapped her again. Changbin's cheek. When Changbei was raped, Changbin treated her as a shame. She never thought about how her half-sister felt. Now Lily just wants to make Changbin feel good. After being hurt, what a taste. Jongsun beat Changbei so many times, and Lily was now doubled in size and returned to Changbin, but even if Lily had shown mercy, Changbin still looked very miserable. People who have never experienced such pain will never. She didn't know what it felt like, but from now on she wanted to see if Changbin could still laugh at him. After only 2 blows, Changbin was already very unbearable. Blood spurted from the corner of her mouth and she couldn't even moan. Lily tore her clothes apart, made large and small fingerprints on her body, and finally tore off her skirt. He went down and pinched her thigh several times. Changbin, who was beaten to death, could no longer resist except for instinctive twitching. She slapped Changbin twice more, and when Lily knocked her out completely, she took out the blood she had prepared and smeared it between her thighs. Finally, she sneered and jumped out of the toilet. The toilet was on the 2nd floor. Jump down. It was about 10 meters high at the time, but this was not difficult for Lily. She landed lightly, found a big tree to hide herself, and then looked up at the toilet window. She borrowed a public phone and made a call. Changbin's cell phone was not answered. About 10 minutes later, the toilet light that had been turned off came on, and a burst of screams resounded throughout the building, including the roar of Changbin's boyfriend. The ambulance arrived half a quarter of an hour later. Changbin was wrapped up and put into the ambulance. Lily was very measured about her actions. She just wanted to teach Changbin a lesson and did not intend to kill her. Changbin Yan is still a virgin at the moment, but she wants Changbin to taste the feeling of being ruined. If her boyfriend is loyal and caring to her, all she does today is just to make her suffer, and if her boyfriend really thought she was raped and left her, so she could only blame Changbin for what she deserved. If she had accumulated some moral integrity and not harmed others, naturally it would not be someone else's turn to harm her. After Lily watched the show, she disposed of the gloves and the blood stains before returning home. Luo Qi had called her before, but Lily's phone was turned off and she didn't answer. When she returned, Luo Qi was building his 3D model. At this time, he had worked hard for most of the time, and his expression was a bit uneasy. When Lily opened the door, he seemed to be relieved. Changbin was raped. In just half a day, such news spread throughout Imperial Capital University. That night, a rape case was reported in a well-known nightclub in Imperial Capital, causing the nightclub to be suspended for rectification. Because there were so many people in the nightclub, it was impossible to know who the murderer was. There was no way to find out, and Lily was wearing gloves when doing things that day. In the end, the case was just dropped. Apart from a few words on the social page asking young students to pay attention to safety when they went out to play, there was no further news. Follow up. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 690. P.S. 4 updates in 1, before 3 p.m. on May 7th, there will be double the number of pink tickets. Do you think this small pink ticket is just a small pink ticket? Wrong. Because these are 2 little pink tickets. Give me a little fan vote, I will go to pretend to be cool, no one can stop me from flying when I finish showing off, and the update is finished, it's our turn, how about this deal? After dealing with Changbin, he originally wanted to wait for a while before dealing with Zhang Sun. After all, it was the winter vacation soon. Zhang Sun was always with his parents, so it was not easy to catch him when he failed. In the plot, the habits of Zhang Sun's family were revealed. I remember very clearly that after Zhang Sun was admitted to college, the Zhang family regarded him as a matter of pride. He had to go back to his hometown to show off every Chinese New Year. The winter vacation had already been out for several days. Logically speaking, Zhang Sun should have already returning to her hometown. Even if she wanted revenge, she had to wait until school started next year. However, just a few days after the winter vacation, Lily received a call from her mother, asking her to go and get married. Lily has been staying in the laboratory with Luo Qi these days. When Cheng's mother called, Lily didn't really want to go there at first, but thinking of Changbin's face, Lily agreed to Cheng's mother's request. In addition to Cheng's mother and father, who had solemn and somewhat sad faces, Zhang Sun and his parents were all present in the Cheng family, to Lily's surprise. During this period of time, Lily lost weight again. As her body lost weight, she was almost too fat. Zhang Sun had not seen her for a while, and Len Hehe's eyes almost lit up when he saw Lily, who was now only slightly plump. He really couldn't believe that the Lily he saw in front of him was his fat and ugly girlfriend. Cheng's mother's eyes were red and swollen from crying. When she opened the door and saw Lily standing outside, she pointed toward the room. "Come in, Xiao Zhang has something to tell you," she finished. I couldn't help but sniffed and complained again, "Something happened to your sister, why don't you ever come back to see her?" Lily couldn't help complaining when she heard Cheng's mother's words, and guessed that Changbin's situation must have been extremely bad recently. But when she heard this, She still couldn't help laughing. Look. What are you looking at? What happened to her? The fact that Changbian was raped has spread throughout Taito University. What happened in the nightclub that night alarmed the media and made a big fuss about this incident as a typical example. Was Changbian actually raped? She should have been found out when she was sent to the hospital. After all, seeing her appearance at that time, if she was really raped, she would be suspected of collecting evidence. She must have known that she had not been raped, but whether the story of her being raped was true or false was not important. What was important was that no one believed that she had not been raped. Nowadays, rumors spread outside. It's terrible. Many of the neighbors in this building know that in the past, the neighbors in the building had no contact with each other. But in the past few days, some people even wanted to come and inquire about the matter. Although Changbian was not really raped, she was beaten once by Lily. At first she explained that she was innocent, but no one would listen to her, and Changbian couldn't tell the difference. When it was said that Lily had been raped, she was still a little gloating. Now that the incident has fallen on her, Changbian is afraid to leave the house now. The most important thing is her boyfriend, who seemed to be gentle, considerate to her before. I don't know if it was because of the influence of others, but she also started to treat Changbian as if she were away from him. This made Changbian extremely painful. What a romantic and happy event that I thought I could get married first. Now it has become like this. Her best friends have not been in touch with her recently. They are still making fun of each other behind their backs. Sometimes the words they say unintentionally are caused by Changbian's sensitivity. Or maybe they just deliberately wanted to ridicule her and didn't shy away from doing anything in front of her. After Changbian was discharged from the hospital, these best friends visited her twice, but she drove them away, and now they have never come again. Thinking that her daughter, who was a good girl, unexpectedly encountered such a bad thing when she was about to get married, the adult mother cried several times behind her back and tried all kinds of methods. She even went to the owner of the nightclub and said she wanted to check it out. The monitor did not find any useful clues. The only one captured was the scene where Lily bumped into Changbian and her boyfriend in front of the bar. However, because her face was not captured, she looked tall despite her figure. The figure of the slender girl, but no results were found. At this time, the adult mother's eyes were red, and she felt cruel many times. If she caught someone secretly harming her daughter, she would definitely give him a good look. The recent wave of things has not calmed down yet, and another wave of things has arisen. Ever since Changbian's accident, Lily has not been back to Cheng's family once. Even though the relationship between the sisters was not good before, Cheng's mother thought that her little daughter had died. However, the eldest daughter didn't come to comfort her at all, and she felt very unhappy. After losing her temper with a sullen face, she saw Lily smiling but didn't say anything, and heard Lily asking Changbian what happened. Cheng's mother dissatisfaction arises involuntarily in my heart. What happened? Don't you know about something as big as your sister being beaten? The news and newspapers had reported it in such a large space. At this moment, Lily was still pretending to be stupid, as if she didn't know anything. The adult mother became angry when she thought about it. Sure enough, she had been raised by her since she was a child, or she was not well raised. She couldn't help but scolded, no matter how much you argue, you can break the bones and still connect the tendons. I have you as my sister, really? How do you still have the nerve to smile? After scolding Changbian, Cheng's mother couldn't help but think of her youngest daughter's boyfriend. She called her several times in the past 7 or 8 days to ask him to come and accompany Changbian, but he always tried various ways to shirk it. Something happened to them all. After the eldest daughter's accident and the care and concern of Luo Qi, who had been brought back, the adult mother felt a little uncomfortable for her younger daughter again. Am I going to cry? Lily was called back by Cheng's mother, not to listen to her scolding. Seeing Cheng's mother furious, she couldn't help but ask, When something happened to me, Chenbian came to see me. No. Didn't she go around telling people that I was raped? In the plot, Chenbei was really hurt like this, and almost collapsed physically and mentally. Now Chenbian was just beaten. Lily was very measured when she struck, and the force she used was not as deep as Jang Soon's. Although it hurt, her body was still intact. She hadn't even tasted the real feeling of being raped, and now she couldn't bear it. After Chenbei was so hurt, her biological sister spread rumors that she was raped. Has Chenbian ever thought about Chenbei's feelings? The words left Cheng's mother speechless. Although she complained in her heart that her daughter was vengeful, stingy, and unkind, Cheng's mother had also seen Chenbian's actions at the beginning. At this moment, she really couldn't open her mouth to speak, but although Cheng's mother knew this, she still complained a little. She sighed and sneered, "Forget it. I don't care about you, and I don't know what sin I have done." Xiaozhang and the others said they were going back to their hometown. This time if I want to take you back with me, you should think about it carefully. Although the young man you brought back last time was energetic, his face was not worth eating. Women have to live their whole lives. It is really important to find a man who can tolerate you. At first it sounded like what Chen Mu said was true, but when she thought about it carefully she couldn't stand the scrutiny. Lily listened carefully to what Chen Mu said and asked her, now that something has happened to Chenbian, Jongsun she loves picking up rags so much, why not let Jongsun marry her? Chenbian also said at the beginning that Lily was a piece of junk, only suitable for people like Jongsun to pick it up. Now Lily turned her words back, and Cheng's mother couldn't help but became furious. She reached out without thinking and wanted to slap Lily. Lily took a step back. Chenbian, who was originally in the room, rushed out, pointed at Lily and shouted, "Get out! Get out! Get out! We don't welcome you back when we get married. I was not raped, you were raped. You are a dam, you're a bitch." The redness, swelling and bruises on Chenbian's cheeks have not completely dissipated. Her eyes were now red and swollen. It was obvious that she had cried many times during this period. She felt very happy when she saw others being hurt and laughing at them. Now that the injury has fallen on her, Chenbian realized how uncomfortable she felt. She cursed loudly and looked like a madman, and her mother was so angry that she was trembling all over. "Get out! If I had known you were this kind of person, I shouldn't have taken you back and let you stay in someone else's home." She blurted out these words, and Lily sighed, "Why didn't you say you shouldn't have had the baby in the first place? Should I come out? If you knew I was a girl when you were pregnant with the child, you should have aborted me." Chenbei's poor health is all because Cheng's mother ate so much during pregnancy in order to believe what others said about preserving the fetus and giving birth to a son. She found a lot of messy earthwork, and drank some water where the talismans were burned to ashes. Not all of these things were truly beneficial, but they were passed down to Cheng Lily. The original owner's life was so tragic and pitiful. Even if she had the reason for my cowardice and introversion is that Cheng's mother gave birth to Chenbei without raising or educating her. When Chenbei grew up, she only gave her money to go to school, thinking that this was responsible. Lily originally didn't want to have anything to do with Cheng's family anymore. The original owner's life was a tragedy. She didn't owe Cheng's mother anything. Even if she had a so-called biological favor, she didn't actually beg Cheng's mother to give birth to her. She owed Cheng's mother nothing before. Lily had already transferred all the living expenses, tuition, and miscellaneous fees she had paid to her into her father's account. At this moment, her mother asked her to get out. Lily didn't feel sad at all. After speaking, she turned around and left. The words she blurted out in anger made Chenmu feel a little happy at first. When she came back to her senses and felt a little regretful, Lily had already left. Chenmu thought about her two daughters now, and the daughter who was not close to her would probably be in the future. She no longer had contact with her, and her daughter, who was close to her, was hurt like this again. She thought about the suffering she suffered because she had no son in her early years, and now she is middle-aged and has to bear the blow of her daughter being hurt, and she couldn't help crying. This year, other people's families are having a lively life, but getting married is full of sorrow. After the holiday, some students in the school have returned to school one after another. Lily paid special attention to Jong-sun's activities in the past 2 days. Jong-sun came to the hospital immediately. When the school reported, Lily had already found his whereabouts. After the school started, Jong-sun first went to get married. Obviously, he had not completely given up on wanting to stay in the imperial capital. Even as time passed, he felt that the matter of marrying Lily is even more urgent. When Jong-sun went to Chinjia for dinner at night, Lily followed him out of Chinjia community and easily knocked Jong-sun unconscious with one palm. When Jong-sun woke up again at that time, the surroundings were dark, and he seemed to be lying among a pile of unpleasant garbage. The pungent smell around him almost made him vomit, and he could not move his hands. When I move my bones, I feel excruciating pain. It must be that my shoulder bones are out of position. The condition of my legs is similar, as soon as I move them. Cold sweat broke out in a flash. Is there anyone there? Jong-sun asked tentatively. A bad premonition came out of his heart. The surroundings were so quiet that he seemed to hear another breathing sound. Not knowing who brought him over, Jong-sun licked his lips, a look of panic on his face. Lily stared at him condescendingly, wrapping a rusty newspaper iron pipe in her hand. In the darkness, her increasingly sharp facial features could clearly see the uneasiness and fear on Jong-sun's face. I'm afraid this expression it was exactly the same as Cheng Lily felt when she was hurt. Jong-sun asked several questions, but no one paid any attention to him. He became a little flustered. Just as he was about to struggle and shout for help, the iron pipe held in Lily's hand targeted the middle of his legs and whipped him hard. Since Jong-sun used violence to harm the original owner, Lily will destroy the source of his violence and make him suffer for the rest of his life. When the iron pipe with the sound of whirring wind fell, Jong-sun already felt that something was wrong, and he screamed loudly. He tried hard to escape, but the bones of his limbs were all misplaced and he couldn't move at all. When the severe pain came from between his legs, he let out a painful whimper, and his body instinctively curled up into a ball. Lily didn't say anything, but her men struck harder and harder each time. When she knew it was Jong-sun who dared to hit her, she had already thought about it. Punishing Jong-sun with the law was obviously a light punishment for him. The original owner in the plot suffered a lifetime of harm in his previous life. Let alone Jong-sun's attempted rape, even if the rape was successful, the maximum sentence for him would be a few years. It doesn't matter how you live your life after you come out. How could this be worthy of the original owner who risked his soul to seek revenge? How can I be worthy of the hurt I received from the palm? At the beginning, Jong-sun was still screaming, but after a few blows, he was left with more air coming out and less air coming in. His whole body was twitching violently. From the beginning, he was cursing and pleading, but later he just opened his mouth wide. Breathing heavily, Lily picked up the iron rod and hit his cheek hard. He couldn't scream at all. He didn't want to end his pain so quickly. It was too easy to kill him like this. After Lily finished breathing, he threw the iron pipe next to him, tiptoed his feet, and left here lightly, half running, half jumping. Jong-sun was discovered by a cleaning staff who was cleaning the house in the morning. He called 120 and was sent to the hospital. When he woke up, it was already several days later. The place where he was found was in a garbage dump on the outskirts of the city. There are not as many people as there are in the city, and there is no surveillance on the road there. There are only a few toe prints left on the ground at the scene, not even Jong-sun's footprints. It's like someone carried him and flew him all the way to the garbage dump. The murder weapon was found at the scene, but a bunch of messy fingerprints were found on it, and coupled with the contamination of the garbage, No useful information was found at all. In the end, the case was declared an open case and dropped. Jong Sun's injury caused quite a stir, and because he failed to report to school in time after school started, the counselor realized something was wrong. After that, he was quickly found through the police, and naturally Jong Sun's hospitalization could no longer be concealed. His lower body was almost destroyed. When the doctor cleaned up the wound, Jong Sun's genitals could not be saved because of the serious injuries. Even with the advancement of modern medicine, he could cast a fake genitals if he had money in the future, but first don't say whether this fake thing is still useful. I can't guarantee how effective it will be, but his fertility has definitely been destroyed. After learning that something had happened to their son, Jiang's father and Jiang's mother quickly rushed to the imperial capital. When they heard the news, they almost fainted with their eyes open. The Zhang family had only Zhang Sun, and Zhang Sun was dead in the future. Is no longer a man, isn't it equivalent to cutting off the roots of the Zhang family, but what should we do? Jiang's mother was crying, and when she saw anyone, she gritted her teeth and said she would catch the culprit. After the counselor in the class found out about Zhang Sun's accident, Zhang Sun's injury was in the limelight. In order to give the school a positive social impression, everyone organized a trip to see Zhang Sun, and Lily was naturally among them. Among people, she wanted to see Zhang Sun injured and let him experience the power of being watched after being injured. When organizing everyone to collect money, when Lily received it, Lily fumbled for a long time, took out $1, and handed it to the counselor. The counselor didn't notice Lily just now, but now when he saw $1, he subconsciously raised his head and looked towards her. Since this university is known as an aristocratic school, the students who can study here must either have outstanding academic performance or have a very powerful family background. In this era, even 10 yuan was no longer very affordable. Although Zhang Sun was not very prominent in the class before, when the money was collected, almost everyone received 100 yuan, and a few from poor families gave at least 50 yuan. Only when Lily received it, she took out $1 and the counselor's mouth twitched. When she saw Lily, the angry look on the young counselor's face suddenly turned into surprise and a little surprise. Lily lost weight. During the winter vacation, all the remaining flesh on her body was lost, and her figure became slim and slender. As soon as she lost weight, the deformed facial features on her face suddenly returned to their original appearance. No one in the class remembered that there was such a classmate. When he asked Lily's name and found out that she was the fat, ugly, and cowardly Cheng Lily, the counselor screamed and many students in the class gathered around. Coming over and staring at Lily, some people couldn't help but ask what kind of method Lily used to lose weight. Everyone looked at Lily with jealousy and surprise. Because of Lily's weight loss, she even suppressed the fact that she only donated 1 yuan to Zhang Sun. When everyone got on the bus, some students were still asking about Lily's method of losing weight. Everyone was as lively as if they were on a spring outing. No one thought about Zhang Sun, who was still in the ward and had not been discharged from the hospital. In the Imperial Hospital, Jiang's mother accepted the money that everyone had collected, counted it and put it in her pocket. She couldn't help crying again, "My miserable son, whoever cuts off the roots of my Zhang family, I want to they repaid you 100 times." At this moment, Zhang Mu was like an angry lioness. Fierce and aggressive. Many students in the class couldn't help but frown when they heard this. Some people couldn't help but ask directly, in other words, Zhang Sun is an eunuch now. After Lily was raped, some of her classmates at school asked her to confirm the incident in person. Now that something happened to Zhang Sun, naturally someone would ask him this way. It's just that when Cheng Lily was hurt, Zhang Sun was indescribably proud when he saw Cheng Lily being stepped on the ground. Now that he was being questioned like this in person, Zhang Sun was filled with pain, resentment, and indescribable shame and anger. He was lying on the hospital bed. At this time, his face still had traces of being beaten. Although he had saved a life, he was destined to be a cripple for the rest of his life. Although Jiang's mother felt a little unhappy when she heard others ask such words, she thought of what she had just done. He swallowed the money donated by others and thought that he couldn't afford to offend these city dwellers in the imperial capital, so he swallowed his anger and even pulled off the quilt covering Jiang Sun. I don't know who killed 1,000 swordsmen did it. My poor son. Jiang Sun was not wearing pants on his lower body. He had only undergone surgery on key parts. He was now wrapped in gauze. His legs were bruised and purple, and there were some brown dried blood stains on the gauze. Some students showed unbearable looks on their faces, and some were behind their backs. Li couldn't help but whisper. Lily sneered at the corner of her mouth when she saw Jiang Sun's extremely embarrassed but confused expression. He hurriedly asked Jiang's mother to cover him with the quilt, as if the situation could be covered up by covering him with the quilt himself. All the truth is generally unknown. People in the school donated money to him and paid for his medical expenses, which solved the urgent needs of the Jiang family. But at the same time, almost no one in the school didn't know that this happened. Jiang Sun was no longer a man, but a waste among the school students. The news had already spread. He stayed in the hospital for half a month. The Jiang family rented a house outside the school. After recuperating for a whole month, Jiang Sun returned to school. When he entered the school, he was much silent and walked. His posture was also a bit weird, with his head lowered and his waist ragged, looking timid, with his hands in his sleeves unable to be stretched out. When he entered the classroom, he would jump up in fright at the slightest sound from others. During class, he was in a severe trance, and the students around him were looking at him and whispering to each other. All of this caused a great psychological burden on Jiang Sun. After class, Lily packed her books and was about to leave, but someone sat next to her and asked tentatively in a low voice, "Lily?" The voice spoke very softly, as if she was afraid of scaring someone. Lily turned her head to look, and saw Jiang Sun sitting in his position with his legs crossed. In Lily's mind, what she always remembered was after marrying Jiang Sun, he was as fierce and unusual as an old man. This was the first time Jiang Sun showed such an appearance. He called Lily and seemed to be a little bolder. When he saw Lily's eyes, Jiang Sun seemed to confirming his guess. He subconsciously wanted to reach out and grab Lily. "It's really you. I can't believe it." He laughed awkwardly twice, as if he was uncomfortable, and changed his sitting position and crossed his legs. Covering up the strangeness between his legs, this action proved Jiang Sun's guilty conscience, and it was also enough to prove that Lily was in the right direction in seeking revenge on him this time. Now that the new year is over, graduation is the last step. Our marriage should also be arranged, right? Jiang Sun said loudly after confirming Lily's identity. Now Jiang Sun is considered a celebrity in the school, and Lily is with Luo Qi. Moreover, the success of losing weight also caused a sensation in the class. Now when they heard that Jiang Sun and Lily actually had a fight, many students looked over curiously and said nothing. Some people even turned on their mobile phones, preparing to record this perfect moment and send it to the campus network. "We have been dating for several months. We agreed to get married before. Lily, I know what happened to you before and I don't blame you. I don't dislike you either. I will try my best to be good to you in the future. I will try my best. I'll make you happy and marry me." I felt the eyes of the people around me. Jiang Sun loudly said what he was planning to say. During this period of recuperation, Jiang Sun thought clearly that he had become like this, and the rest of his life would be ruined, but he could not let others laugh at him. He must have a wife and cannot continue the family line, but he at least having a house. Lily used to be his only goal. Now he couldn't let go. Otherwise, who would be willing to marry him just because he is a useless person? Jiang Sun didn't want the rest of his life to be ruined and he would have to go back to his hometown and not be able to find a wife in this life. He can't live like that. He really didn't expect that Lily would lose weight and become so beautiful now. What a pity for such a beautiful girl. Now he can only watch and never touch her again. Jong-sun regretted it now. If he had known that he would be so unlucky and something like this happened, he shouldn't have disliked Cheng Lily for being ugly and didn't want to touch her. If he really raped her at that time, maybe he could still leave a seed in her belly. The Jong family wouldn't be extinct, and Lily wouldn't be able to escape anymore. Marry him, marry him. Marry him, marry him. When the classmates around heard such an affectionate declaration of marriage proposal, many people who didn't know what was going on couldn't help but stretched out their hands and applauded. Jong-sun, there was a look of suppressed joy on her face, and she was about to kneel down. Lily sneered, and suddenly raised her legs. When Jong-sun was stunned, she stepped on the chair where Jong-sun was sitting. Classmate, what you injured was your lower body, not your brain. After saying that, she kicked hard and pushed the chair outward. Now Lily's strength was not small. The force of this kick made Jong-sun slide out of the chair. When it hit the table and chair opposite, Jong-sun panicked. Then he stopped, and the chair opposite him fell all over the floor. Although Jong-sun didn't fall, he was still injured in many places when he was hit. His face was a little ugly. Do you want to regret it? At this point, besides Lily, Jong-sun doesn't think anyone would be willing to marry him. He is unwilling to be ruined for his whole life. Lily was originally his girlfriend, but now that she has become beautiful, he wants to be with someone else. He doesn't want to. Willing. Even if he becomes a useless person, he still wants Lily to be a widow for him for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, Jong-sun couldn't help but said loudly, now that you have lost weight and become more beautiful, do you want to regret it and deny that you are my girlfriend? Is it because I am injured and you think I am not worthy of you? When you were injured, I never disliked you. Although the classmates in the school sometimes look down on people like Jong-sun who have no talents, after all, the people in the school don't seem to have experienced a lot after leaving the society. They have a numb temperament and most of them still have a sense of passion. Now I heard, seeing Jong-sun's words and the hurt look on Jong-sun's face, many people looked at Lily. Some people thought of the scene when she and Luo-chi were together. Many people thought that Lily was interested in him. Luo-chi was talented and handsome, so she abandoned her boyfriend who had always loved and supported her in difficult times. Cheng Bei-hee, let me tell you, people like you are really rare. When you were raped, Jong-sun was willing to marry you. Now that something happened to Jong-sun, why did you abandon him immediately? Although someone thought of it, Lily felt a little guilty when she dealt with the girl who said she was raped, but thinking of Lily's abomination, she couldn't help but denounced her. Now that something has happened to Jong-sun, you have turned your back. You are so shameless. Does Senior Luo know about this person? That's right, don't think that if you lose weight, Senior Luo will be attracted to you. There are many more good-looking people than you. The beauty of your appearance is not important, but the beauty of your soul is important. When Lily heard such nonsense, she couldn't help but sneered. In the past, Cheng Bei-hee had a beautiful soul, but no one thought it was important. Instead, everyone always called her fat girl, fatty, etc., and gave her a series of nicknames. Now you have been raped. Something happened to Jong-sun. You two are a perfect match. Once the person who takes the lead speaks, more people will follow. As soon as the harsh words came out, everyone burst into laughter. Jong-sun's face showed a look of satisfaction, but soon he changed to a look of sadness and loss. Lily, don't abandon me. I really love you, and I will treat you well. I will try my best to give you the best. The rumor in school that I was raped, Jong-sun, was it you who spread it? Right. Lily looked at someone who had taken out his mobile phone to take pictures early in the morning. Jong-sun interrupted Jong-sun's words loudly. Jong-sun didn't expect that she would know this. He suddenly panicked and subconsciously denied, of course not, how could you say that? Who knows about my affairs? No one even knows about my injury. Besides you, if you didn't tell me, who else? Lily laughed, and Jong-sun immediately retorted loudly, why? It could be me. Lily. You just don't want to marry me. You can't talk nonsense like this. After he finished speaking, he paused, and the panic on his face quickly calmed down. What's more, why did I know that you were raped? I also heard what others said. Why did you misunderstand me like this? Lily. Do you dislike it? I'm a loser now, so you want to regret your marriage. The two of them caused a scene. The classmates in the class didn't know who was telling the truth and who was lying. Monk Dujong stared at them in confusion, with many mobile phones pointed at their faces. Because you're the one who's planning to do violence to me, aren't you? Lily snorted coldly, straightened her hair, and slowly put her books back into her bag. Her words were astonishing. The shock made many people unable to recover for a long time, and the whispers in the class suddenly became louder. When Jong-sun heard this, his cheek muscles began to twitch crazily, and he subconsciously denied, how could it be me? You came from a poor family and lived in the countryside. You wanted to stay in the imperial city after graduation, and your grades were not very good. It was difficult to find a job that could allow you to stay in the imperial city. So you took the initiative to pursue me in order to become a native of the imperial city. At that time you dislike me for being fat and unattractive, so you don't want people to know about your relationship. I have been dating Jong-sun for several months. No one in the class knows about it, right? When Lily said this, she asked the others loudly. Many students shook their heads subconsciously. They were all shocked and speechless when they heard this kind of revelation. Nonsense. I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid that it will affect my studies. It's not what you said. Do you dislike me now, so you use such words to slander me? Jong-sun was flustered and confused, and subconsciously shook his head in retort. Now, apart from clinging to Lily's dislike of him, he could not say anything to remedy this disadvantage. Lily gave him a cold look. You know what you are thinking. Before the short holiday last year, you said that your parents were coming to the imperial capital and asked me to be responsible for the reception. In order to discuss the details of welcoming your parents, you asked me to stay in the school until after 1 o'clock. I left alone, and when I came back, I was attacked by someone. With my appearance and figure at that time, it was normal for someone to rob me. Who would rob me? The classmates who had always thought that Lily had been raped were all stunned when they heard this. Everyone saw Lily now and thought about Lily's fat appearance in the past. They couldn't help but nodded. Everyone just said it before. I was thinking about telling this gossip, but I never considered the authenticity of the gossip. When I thought about it, I realized that the former Chengbei was really not good looking and had a fat body. If there was really a rapist, people would not know how to pick someone as beautiful as a flower. Why do you want to find her? After I was attacked, I started to panic, but then I calmed down. I bit the man's finger and crossed his eyes, so in the end the man ran away without succeeding. I was beaten almost to death. No, it was Luo Qi who saved me. The first part is correct, but the latter part is Lily's nonsense. There are many people in the school who are curious about what happened between her and Luo Qi, and people often ask. Lily was annoyed by the question, and now she deliberately made up a lie to trick people. I went to the hospital and tested the blood left on my hand. It happened that your hand was bitten and your eye was also scratched. I'm afraid of going blind. I also went to the hospital, and I compared my blood type, and it's you. You're talking nonsense. Jong-sun obviously panicked when he heard this. He kept shaking his head, and everyone around him stared at Jong-sun subconsciously. His face turned blue and white. Sooner or later, you will be mine. Why should I do such a thing? Do you want to marry someone else? You dislike me, so you deliberately use these words to slander me. The blood you call, it's normal for you to get it when we are dating. Jong-sun became smoother and smoother as he spoke. Slowly, his trembling voice calmed down. Not to mention, why should I rape you? Isn't it the same if we touch you after we get married? Do you think so? Why would I do such a thing? What good would I gain? Someone nodded. Lily laughed. There are many benefits. You spread the news everywhere that I was raped, ruined my reputation, and forced me to do nothing. It seemed that I had no other choice but to marry you. My parents thought I was in the wrong. You don't dislike me. So you are willing to buy a house for us, otherwise you can't afford it when you start a family. At this point, Lily paused. What's more, you Jong family are chauvinistic. You want to get a house, but you are also afraid of the future. We got married, and moved out of a house. You can't hold your head high at home because you think that after you ruined me, my reputation will be bad. You can't hold your head high in your Jong family in the future. Naturally, I have no confidence in front of you. No matter what you do, fiddle with it. Haven't you already earned enough face? When the people around him heard this, they were all shocked and could not recover. Jong-sun didn't expect that his plan would be exposed by Lily, and his face changed with shock. I was trembling all over and speechless. After what happened, I heard everything you said to your mother. Jong-sun, do you really think I alienated you because of Luo-chi? You are indeed inferior to Luo-chi. Not only can you not catch up with him in any place, but you are also like despicable villain. You don't deserve to be mentioned with others. You are ruined now, and you deserve it. God has the vision to deal with you, and you still want to marry me? A man like you is kneeling in front of me. I don't think so. It makes you disgusted. Marry you? Who are you? I didn't sue you for intentional harm in the first place. I just didn't want to argue with you for the sake of my classmates. Get away and don't show up in front of me in the future. I was cowardly and useless back then, and could barely protect myself, but if you think that I am still the same as before, you are definitely wrong. Lily squinted her eyes, warned Jong-sun, and packed up her things. Walked up to a person who had been filming with a mobile phone, and snatched the phone away. The person was stunned and didn't respond. Lily quickly uploaded the video to the internet, returned the phone to others, and then turned around and left. There was an uproar in the classroom. After the scene that happened that day was posted online, it caused a stir on campus. Because Jong-sun was a victim of violent cases before, it naturally attracted some people's attention. Someone in the school even approached Lily and asked about the authenticity of this matter. Jong-sun no longer dared to come to school anymore. The rumors that spread to the sky every day almost drowned him. Many people in the school knew about his past atrocities and disliked him. The man threatened to beat him, but he didn't dare to show up again. He became a modern version of living retribution. After Chinmyo knew the truth, she called Lily immediately, but Lily did not answer her call. She said this just to seek justice for the original owner. Chinmyo, she didn't need the belated concern because she was not the original owner. Cheng's mother didn't know where Lily lived now. Half a month later, Jong-sun was forced by rumors in school to drop out of school just like Lily Cheng in the plot. He made trouble with Cheng's family and wanted to force Cheng's general to his daughter married him, and he had no choice but to go to school to trouble Lily. Moreover, Lily knew what happened that day. He was afraid that Lily would call the police, so he had no choice but to go to Changjia. On that day, Changjia had promised to marry him and Lily. Now that he knew the truth, he was angry and hateful. Seeing that Jong-sun was such a scoundrel, he couldn't drive him away, so he stayed in the community every day and acted mischievously. In the end, he still made some small sacrifices. The price was paid to the property management and the police were contacted. Jong-sun was detained for a period of time and did not come back again. After Jong-sun's accident, when he found out that Lily knew the truth about that day, he went to the police and said that he suspected that his private parts had been destroyed by Lily and asked to report the crime. However, people thought that he was crazy and there were no traces left on that day. And outside the city, Lily didn't have a car. According to the time she went to and from get out of class, unless she flew there, she didn't have the time to commit the crime. She didn't take any car. Jong Sun's report was considered it was because he went crazy and bit people on purpose, but he remembered what Lily said that day. Although the evidence was not enough to catch him, people like him who were sympathetic some time ago seemed to be very hateful now, and the people from the police station gave him a lesson. Changbin finally married her boyfriend. But the story of her being raped was now widely spread outside. Although her boyfriend knew clearly that she was not raped, no matter how clean she was, many people would laugh at her. Naturally, men couldn't stand it either. He cheated on her just a few years after getting married. When Changbin wanted to scold him, all she got was punches and kicks. After a long time, she didn't dare to mention divorce. Now her reputation is ruined. Life became more difficult after the divorce, and the man's attitude towards her became even worse after he felt confident. Lily had never thought about marrying anyone during this mission, but she still spent her whole life with Luo Qi, and they got married. The two sisters had completely different life outcomes. In the end, the situation was reversed. Many years later, Luo Qi has made great achievements in the field of brain academic research. When he was specially invited by the school to give a speech, Lily also went with him. Luo Qi had not changed much over the years. He still looked handsome and quiet. But when he looked at Lily, he had a look that many people could see. Like, Senior Luo really loves his wife. After the speech, someone couldn't help but say it in the audience. Many people didn't want to leave. Luo Qi took Lily's hand and stood up. People next to him heard this. He couldn't help but say, "I heard that the two of them met because they were heroes saving beauties." Really? The students here are whispering. There was a haggard-looking woman over there who was slapped to the ground by a man carrying a briefcase. The man was still not relieved after the slap. When he saw Luo Qi supporting Lily and getting into the car not far away, he kicked the ground again. The woman kicked her, "Useless trash. Our company needs this business now. Luo Qi is your brother-in-law, why don't you go up and get close to him? Admit your mistake to your sister. Ask her to take care of you." The man was beating and scolding, and Changbin bit her lip tightly. When she saw Lily's figure, a look of jealousy appeared on her face. After she got married, she lived a comfortable life within a few days. Her parents gave her all their property, but the money did not make her husband treat her better. He often beat and scolded her because of her bad reputation. She was really resentful. She was no worse than Lily in everything, and was even much better than Chen Lily at first. But why did she end up in such an end, while Lily could really marry Luo Qi? And after so many years, can we still be treated like this? Luo Qi helped her when she got in the car, but now she was beaten and scolded by her boyfriend who loved her at the beginning. Changbin's eyes showed resentment, as if she felt her gaze. Lily, who was about to get in the car, turned her head coming. Changbin shrank her body subconsciously, fearing that Lily would see her current fate. This move caused the man to curse. She thought Lily didn't see her, but Lily's eyesight was very sharp now. When she got in the car, she still saw the scene in the distance. Lily had no contact with her family for a long time. Her parents had thought about letting her go. She helped her sister, thinking that she was living a good life now, and the two sisters should support each other. However, Lily thought of the fate of the original owner in the plot. Changbin, who was living well at that time, never thought of supporting her sister. On the contrary, he often sneered at her, and it was naturally impossible for Lily to help her at this moment. The lecture held by the school for Luo Qi made Luo Qi famous throughout China. He has reached a certain height in the field of brain and is also well known internationally. This time he returned to his alma mater to give a speech, which also led to the aristocratic school in the imperial capital. The reputation of the university. On a narrow path in the countryside, Zhang Mu, who looked as if she was 30 years old, pointed at the university shown on TV and boasted to the people around her, "This is the university our Suner went to at the beginning." The people next to her couldn't help but exclaim. She gave a look of disdain. Zhang Sun's life was ruined because he failed to become a native of the imperial capital and did not even graduate from college. In order to support him in his studies, his parents had squeezed out all their savings. He did not have a handsome appearance, and now he has lost the ability to be a man. He was 30 years old. He is 3 years old, but his wife has not gotten along yet, and he also went on a blind date in the meantime. The Zhang family once thought of tricking a girl into marrying into the family, but in the end, the girl was not as easy to control as Cheng Beihe, and in the end the Zhang family stole the chicken but lost the rice, and the news that Zhang Sun was a waste was still spread. The face-saving Zhang Sun now hides at home and relies on his parents to support him. Jiang's mother has aged more than 10 years in the past few years. Watching TV now, she remembered that she almost became an old lady and cried bitterly. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 691. When she returned to the starry sky, Lily remembered that Li Yangzi had concealed something from Li Yangziu before and was still a little upset. Although she had also thought about it during the mission, Li Yangzi entered the mission to help her, and the two of them at that time were very different. It was not a close relationship, but it was understandable that he did not choose to tell her the truth. It was the truth that Li Yangzi had helped her. Lily understood this, but Li Yangzi did not tell her about it afterwards, which made Lily feel a little depressed when she thought about it. When she was still feeling uncomfortable because of Li Yangziu, who had helped her and died in front of her, she didn't expect that she had been longing to change the plot again, but the person she saved was always by her side. In the previous story in Interstellar, Lily had thought about entering the sea plot again after the mission was completed, rescuing Li Yangziu, healing her original regrets, and getting along well with Li Yangzi, but she didn't expect that the regret in her heart would turn out to be, it was Li Yangzi. After Lily figured it out, she didn't blame him, but she just didn't know how to face Li Yangzi. The mission is accomplished. Li Yangzi held her hand, and Lily didn't refuse, but she didn't say anything either. It was obvious that she was angry last time, but now she has thought about it but has not completely calmed down yet. Li Yangzi's eyes flashed, and Lily's information emerged from the starry sky. Gender, female, variable. Name, Lily. Age, 21. Intelligence, 87, out of 100. Appearance, 91, out of 100. Physical strength, 77, 100 full points. Force, 67, out of 100 points. Spirit, 82, out of 100. Reputation, 35, out of 100 points. Skills, 9 Yang Manual, 9 Yin Manual, Heaven and Earth Gate Tao Te Ching, Southern Gu Technique, Star Body Training Technique. Specialties, Advanced Cooking Skills, Advanced Acting Skills, 5 Elements, and Bagua, slightly dabbled in. Charisma, 65, out of 100. Mark, Royal True Dragon Spirit. This mission was unlike the previous mission in Interstellar. The values of the attribute data fluctuated greatly. Lily felt that Li Yangzi's eyes had been falling on her. Finally he sighed, "I will send you to the mission first." He did not defend what he said in the starry sky last time, nor did he ask Lily not to be angry because he concealed that Li Yangziu was him, but the calmer he became, Lily slowly began to feel regret. She moved her lips, but just as she was about to speak, Li Yangzi had already touched her head. Lily was drowsy when she saw him gently lower his head and touch her forehead. In the end there was no consciousness anymore. As soon as her figure disappeared from the starry sky, a faint smile appeared on Li Yangzi's originally calm face. "Mother, mother, please don't kill brother ninth." A miserable female voice rang in Lily's ears. For some reason, when she heard this voice, it should be because Lily had just entered the body of the original owner. She only felt "it seems like I can't control myself." Various complex emotions such as resentment, anger, sadness, and heartache surged into her heart. She instinctively raised her hands, and there was a sound of wind blowing in her clothes. Her soft and warm body seemed to rush to her side, and she grabbed it with both hands. He took off her sleeves and shouted in a sad voice, "Mother, Xiaozu, please." "Let go," Lily yelled involuntarily, but the person who called herself Xiaozu didn't really let go of her hand. Instead, he hugged her tighter. After a while, Lily only felt warm water droplets dripping onto the hem of her clothes, quickly causing a water stain on her clothes. Lily endured the discomfort of just waking up from the task and opened her eyes. She stood in front of a long incense table. The smell of incense candles was very strong and the surrounding decorations were very simple. A girl of about 18 years old with disheveled hair, he was holding her legs now. He buried his face in her skirt and cried hard. The maids and wives standing on both sides didn't even dare to make a sound at the moment. The girl's soft and timid crying could only be heard all around, which made Lily feel annoyed for no reason. "Take her down and take good care of her." Lily suppressed the anger in her heart and kicked the girl. The girl's body was kicked so hard that she staggered backwards. Hearing Lily's words, she couldn't help but burst into tears. When the people around heard Lily's order, they responded and hurriedly dragged the girl up. She cried for a while and struggled to get rid of these maids and women. "Mother, spare brother Ju and let him live. Xiaozu, please, Xiaozu has never asked you for anything since she was a child. She only asked her mother to spare brother Ju. Get out." When Lily heard this, she felt even more aggrieved for no reason. She shouted sharply. Seeing her getting angry, the servants at home did not dare to let the girl cry anymore and quickly dragged her out of the hall. The remaining servants in the room were chilling at this time. The smoke from the incense that had just been lit in the stove on the incense table was slowly rising. The dozen or so tribute plaques placed on it looked a bit eerie, and most of them had already been lit. At the end of the year, when one of the brand new spiritual tablets appeared, the pain and discomfort in her heart surged up. Lily had just received this body, and she couldn't control her emotions at this moment. The more she saw this brand, the hotter her eyes became. "Stand up. Madam, don't be sad. If the young man has a spirit under the spring, he will definitely feel uncomfortable knowing that Madam is so sad for him." A woman sighed, came forward and handed Lily a piece of handkerchief. She shook her head. "I know what's going on, help me go back and have a rest." Lily took a few deep breaths, and the influence of the original owner's body on her gradually became much smaller, but she hadn't accepted the plot yet, so she didn't know what was happening in the original owner's room at this moment. She was there, so she had to pretend to endure the pain. The old lady responded, stepped forward to hold her hand, walked out of the hall and walked down the corridor, turning left and right, and sent Lily to the wing. With the excuse that she wanted to be alone for a while, Lily rushed the waiting girls and women outside the door. When she was lying on the bed, she first thought about Li Yangzi's expression when she entered the mission. She vaguely regretted returning to the starry sky. Zhongxi did not speak to Li Yangzi, but he was already on a mission. Even if he wanted to apologize to him, he could only wait until he returned to the starry sky next time. He suppressed the chaotic thoughts in his heart. Lily closed her eyes and began to receive. Let's start with the plot of this mission. When she just saw a young girl calling her mother, Lily already knew in her mind that her body should be quite old for this mission, and it turned out not to be what she expected. The original owner was born in the family of a military general named Gan under the Zhou dynasty. At this time, the five kingdoms were in a powerful position, wars were going on between the kingdoms, and bandits were everywhere. The country valued military affairs over culture. Gan Beihi's father was originally Dingui of the Great Zhou dynasty. A fierce general under Ho's command, he once saved Dingui Ho's life when he was young. The two families formed a close relationship. Ho Gan Beihi's father made many military exploits and was promoted to the position of a third-rank general. Gan's father was born in the wilderness, married his wife Qin, and had two daughters. After he became prosperous, some people persuaded him to divorce his wife and marry another one. However, because Gan's father and his wife were inseparable in their early years, Qin's family accompanied him in the north and south campaigns and had enough food. After suffering a lot, even though he had no children for the Gan family in his middle age, Gan's father couldn't bear to abandon his wife and had to take in several more concubines. I don't know if it was because he was destined to have no children. In the end, these concubines and no one bore him a son. The Dingui Marquis Yuan family is different. The Yuan family is also a family of military generals. When the Great Zhou dynasty was founded, the ancestors of Dingui Marquis had made military exploits. After the founding of the Great Zhou dynasty, rewards were given according to merit. The Yuan family was named Dingui Marquis and was hereditary. It has been inherited for more than 3 generations now, and it is extremely wealthy. Unlike Gan's father who had no children, the Yuan family has many heirs, and the descendants of the Yuan family once fought for the position of the heir. Gan's father had saved Dingui Hao's life in his early years, so the two became irreversible friends. When he saw Gan's father worried about his son's succession, Dingui Hao joked, "I would like to exchange my son for brother Gan's daughter." The Yuan family has many heirs, but very few daughters. There is no shortage of sons such as Dingui Hao, who are rare among others, but he regrets that he has no daughters. Although Mr. Gan is tall and thick, except for his daughter from his concubine, Xiajiazi, who is not very popular, the 2 daughters born to the Qin family are as beautiful as the other. The eldest daughter Gan Bailian is gentle and beautiful, well-informed and courteous, and the younger daughter is more beautiful than the other. Gan Beihi has been practicing martial arts since she was a child, and she is as good as a boy in all aspects of riding and shooting, but it is a pity that she is born as a girl. At first, Dingui Hao said this casually just as a joke, but he didn't expect that when he discussed it with his wife later, the couple became more and more interested. The 2 daughters of the Gan family knew that either one was good, and the most important thing was to talk to Yuan. The eldest sons of the family are of the same age. Although Gan's father has a poor background, since ancient times, high-ranking families have married young wives and high-married daughters. The rules of a family of military generals are not as many as others. It is better to marry a daughter-in-law who knows her roots well than outsiders. It's better to find a random woman, one your son doesn't like. With such a joke, Dagon was carried into the Yuan family when she was 15 years old and became the crown prince's concubine. After the marriage, the couple had a great love. However, Marquis Dingui was unfortunately killed in a battle. The eldest son succeeded to the throne as Marquis and went to war in his father's place. However, Dagan finally got pregnant at the age of 18 after 3 years of hard work. She originally thought that when everything was gradually improving, Dagan was injured during childbirth and became critically ill with hemorrhage. Before she died, she sent someone to call her sister Gan Beihi into the house. She was about to die, and the Dagan family knew it. However, she had just given birth to a daughter, and her husband was 2 years older than her. She was only 20 now, and she was in her weak years. Will definitely get married and have children in the future. If her poor daughter does not have her biological mother by her side, the young Dingui Hao will go on an expedition again in the future. If the newly married stepmother is not good, her daughter may not survive. This baby girl named Xiaozu was the fate of the De Gan family. How could she watch her daughter end up like that? Therefore, the De Gan family begged Gan Bei to marry her into the Dingui Marquis mansion and become her stepmother. Take care of your daughter. To be continued.